Good morning, Raptor freaks. Lexi Odds here. It's Friday, and we got a grudge match, baby. That's right. Let's go, Sixers. We're coming to Philadelphia for a Broad Street Bully Street fight. Let's go. Yes, we don't want any violence. We don't want any problems. We don't want any issues. We just want a good, cleanly official game so that we can have a good game against the Sixers tonight. A tall task indeed, but listen. If anybody's ready for this task, it's the Raptors. We're rolling right now, baby. We're in good shape with our chemistry. We are in good shape with some of the things that have been happening with our team recently. On a 3-game winning streak, actually won 6 of our last 7 games. You cannot get mad at what is happening in Raptors Nation right now because we are winning, baby, and we're on the roll. And we've seen the chemistry and the right kind of balance and some of the right kind of things happening with our team recently. We got to feel real good. And then listen, Philadelphia is interesting. You know, they are playing at a high level, and they are winning a lot. They did dismantle Dallas Mavericks in their last game pretty easily in some ways. But listen, there's some things I'm looking at. Sure, Joel's gotten better this year. Sure, they've added more pieces around him. But we've added pieces too. In fact, I think that Jakob will be a very interesting change from when we played them earlier this season and also in the playoffs last year. That Pirtle having him around, as Fred put it in the practice interview yesterday, is an extra body to throw at Joel tonight, and I all about that. I really am all about that. Now, another thing on the down low, I've mentioned this yesterday, that James Harden has a lingering injury right now. His Achilles isn't exactly right. It hasn't been right for a few months, and he's playing hurt. In some ways, this is a little bit like Fred VanVleet last season, near the end of the season, not being 100% himself. So this is something that maybe we can capitalize on also as far as things. Let me check in with you guys in the chat first. Nameless is first in. He's saying tonight we are going to put a beating on Philly, Italian style, with bats, clubs, and crowbars. Wow, mafioso. Whoa. This is crazy, Nameless. But in some ways, listen, this is a serious game. This is a do or die game for us. In some ways, I want us to look at this game and take this game way more serious than Philadelphia. Philadelphia, in some ways, I don't know how they'll look at this game, but they're going to get up for this one like we may. Because listen, we understand things really, really matter with us winning games right now and how things will go in the standings and where we sit in the play-in. So I wonder about how much they take it seriously tonight versus how we're going to take this seriously tonight. We'll have to see. So here's my Italian lesson for today. Nameless is giving me non giochiamo in giro. Non gioche amo in giro. Okay, I said that not right, but with the pronunciation is saying we don't play around, is what I'm saying in Italian. Non giochi amo in giro. That's right. We don't play around, Philadelphia. And we are coming to your town tonight. We are at Wells Fargo, and we will be playing, hopefully, some of our best basketball of the whole entire season and showing y'all just who the Raptors are at this point. Mike is here. Salute the Real Ones, Project Truth. Let's get this W tonight. Yes, Mike, thank you for joining us once again this morning. Check out Logical Raptors Fanatic on YouTube. Always dropping factual, actual good content on the Raptors with the stats. Infamous is here this morning. Good morning. Is Gary playing tonight? Well, let's go do the injury check since Infamous has keyed it off for us. There's the cue card for this. Tonight on our injury list, Delano Banton is questionable for tonight with his thumb. Joe Weezy is questionable with his hamstring. Will Barton is questionable with his ankle. Gary Trent Jr. is questionable with his elbow. Now, I will say to this, Infamous, yesterday in the practice interview, Nick was asked about Gary's injury with his elbow, and he says it is still a little sore, but he kind of doesn't understand totally why he isn't playing yet, but he thinks he will be back very soon, that he could be back tonight. He could very much be back tonight, guys. So it isn't for sure that he's out because of his elbow tonight. And Nick actually said in the practice yesterday there's a chance he could be fine. They could come and check him before the game, and he'll say, "Yeah, I'm ready to go," and they'll play him. Of course, he's not going to start. Probably he'll, of course, come off the bench if he does play. And of course, Otto Porter Jr. is still out for us. On the other side, there were injuries a couple days ago for Philadelphia, but there aren't anymore. They are completely healthy for tonight as far as their injury report. We do know there are nagging injuries, as I said, for James Harden, and also Joel has missed games this week also. Of course, he missed that game against Jokic in the Denver Nuggets earlier this week. People were trying to say he's ducking him. That's so stupid. But yeah, listen, there are nagging injuries for their two main stars. So even though they don't have anybody missing, this Philly team is a little bit different than earlier in the season when we saw them. They have made a few moves around, and it is important for us to kind of go over their lineup real quick. Of course, they got that backcourt of Harden and Maxey. We were familiar with from last off season or last postseason. Tobias Harris, of course, is their small forward, and PJ Tucker, he's out there. Hopefully we can have maybe a Pascal torture PJ Tucker a little bit like he did earlier this season in that one game. That'd be fantastic to see Pascal talking that smack and just killing him on the offensive end, just scoring all over him every which way. And of course, Joel. Jakob in his interview yesterday, talking a lot about guarding Joel Embiid and the kind of things you have to do with him. And sometimes you got to just let him go ahead and get the basket, because if you touch him, he's already beat you. You're going to put him on the line, because these guys are really good at getting the line. The referees love putting Harden and Embiid on the line. So that is something that Jakob has to balance. He has to balance his aggressiveness with guarding Joel, and then also in stopping him without giving up 3-point plays. In some ways, he doesn't want to give that foul up and have a foul on him and give him a 3-point play. So he has to be really careful with how he plays Joel tonight. He is talking about it a lot yesterday in the practice interview. Of course, their bench looks better now than I did last season in the playoffs. Shake Milton, DeAnthony Melton, who's been playing at a really high level. Melton is dangerous off their bench. He's also been playing very good defense also. Jalen McDaniels, one of the McDaniels brothers, is on this team, and he is annoying. Very athletic wing. Of course, we know George's Niang, and then they got the big man Paul Reed, who's been coming up in their system for a bit. He can be a problem on the boards in different ways also. Then they got people like frickin' Korkmaz, Daniel L. House Jr., Dwayne Dedman, Montrezl Harrell. That's pretty much their lineup. Oh, and then the dunk champ, of course, Mac McClung, who looks like he's 7 years old in the face. Yeah, that's the team for Philadelphia right now currently, and it'll be fun. It'll be interesting to see how we match up with them. Bam, 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 bam. Yeah, I want to see Scotty come back out and see if he can do something like he did the other night. A 12 assist, 0 turnover performance by Scotty Barnes in the last game against Miami. There's all kinds of things rolling for us right now. Well, there's OG Anunoby's efficient play on both ends of the court. We're seeing Fred being smarter with his decisions on the court as far as passing and shooting and getting people involved. And then Siakam, in some ways, is deferring a little bit more to other guys for more balance around on the team overall. I love seeing the reemergence of Precious Achiuwa in the last game, showing a solid contribution after not playing for a while, or just getting DMPs, or just not getting a lot of minutes. We need Precious back. And in fact, we remember last postseason how he played against the Sixers in that series. He was a badass. And in some ways, we want some of the stuff that he can do against the Sixers on display tonight. One person that may be nice to play tonight, and there's some weird stuff going on right now. And in some ways, I don't feel like it's very professional. Thad Young is in a weird place. I understand it's public that this bonus you get $500,000 if you play a certain amount of games, and I understand the team is not letting you get to that 60 game plateau in your season. How many games you played this year, Thad? And in some ways, you may be feeling like you're getting robbed for money. But man, you've been in this league for 17 years. And all of a sudden now I feel like you're going to act unprofessional because I go and look on Thad Young's Instagram page and he has a really kind of like messed up cryptic post that I do not like seeing. Thaddeus, why even put this out there? He's basically got a picture of him walking through. It's in LA, and he looks kind of not enthusiastic. And it says 9 times out of 10, the writing is on the wall. And what's on the wall says versus the Raptors. That he's like at odds with the team. This is really messed up. Like it's really messed up. I mean, I think it's really dumb that because honestly, tonight you may be called upon tonight because you had good success against that Joel last year. You had good success in the series against Philly. And in some ways, I don't agree with this, man. Like, are you going to be a part of our postseason team that we can lean on in some sort of way? Or are you already checking out because you're pissed off because you're not going to get a $500,000 bonus for appearing in 60 games this season? I don't know what's going on with that. And in some ways, that's not the kind of vet leadership we want on this team in some ways. I don't know. I have good faith that Nick is going to play you still in the postseason, and you're getting all antsy and acting weird right now, Thad Young. Who knows? Maybe they're going to cut you, and they're going to put Jeff Dowtin on a full contract in your place. That could very well be. You're saying there's writing on the wall. Well, is that the writing on the wall that Jeffrey Dowtin Jr. is going to be converted and you're going to get cut? Because that may be what it is. And maybe he does know something that I don't know. I don't know. Either way, Thaddeus, you've had a great career and you can still have more of a career. Just hang in there. Just don't get all crazy right at the end here with us here at the Raptors. All right, let's see. Let's see what else you guys are saying. Cool Cat's here. Good morning, Raptor Freak crew. We started spicy early. Laugh out loud. You know, Cool Cat, that I like to get that spot early. And when we have game day, it's not always 9:30 on a game day. In fact, I'm more likely to go on at 9:15 because I like to get to that spot early. And I hope that the Raptors can get to that spot early also. It all signifies that. Then on game day, we want to be a step ahead. And that's why I start at 9:15. Even though I say I start at 9:30, just the regulars know this, that Lex is going early on game day, baby. Going to the hole fast, quick, and right away. That's right. Nako's saying, nameless, you're going to scare Embiid. Ooh, very scary, Count Floyd. Ooh, they're going to come mafioso style. What is this? This is crazy, Gerald's saying. Tom Duke is here. Oh, Tom Duke. Let's go. Happy Friday. Big game day. Yes, Tom Duke. Yes. I agree. My good friend Tom Duke on the West Coast, holding it down, Raptor Freak style out there. Yes, this is a big game. Grudge match. Yeah, this is like Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant. This is a grudge match, baby. Let's get them. Yes, let's get them, Tom. Yes, Evelyn's here. Let's go. Yes, Granny Evelyn. I hope you're ready for the game tonight. Get baby Candace and put her in her Raptors gear and get it all ready for the game tonight. Baby Candace will be saying, Raptors. I love that story when you told me that last week about how baby Candace sees the Raptors on TV and says, Raptors. I love that so much. Trevor's here. Good to see Trevor J. One of the best Raptor freaks around, always spouting the good positive stuff that I love hearing from Trevor J. Good morning. Let's go, Raptors. We got this one tonight. We're going to kick Philadelphia all around tonight. Woo! We are very violent today. We feel like we got to go there and kick people around and beat them up. Woo! Well, some of it is, this is a game that I was worried about at the beginning of the season because, Philadelphia fans have been threatening towards Pascal Siakam at different times because of last year's playoff matchup and what happened with Joel. You better watch out when you come to Philadelphia, Pascal. Ooh, in some ways I do worry about Pascal in Philadelphia because if any city's crazy enough to do some crazy shit, it's Philadelphia. So yeah, y'all be careful. John Atilia, can you please be just next to Siakam all the time right now with those hands that kill? Oh yeah, John Atilia, you just shadow Pascal Siakam all day long. everywhere you go in Philadelphia, because we don't need no out-of-pocket crazy-ass fan coming anywhere near Pascal Siakam. Yeah, John Atilia is your friend. He is definitely your friend. Oh, yeah. Let's see. Lion Hunter's here. Good to see Lion Hunter. Tom Duke and I fighting the good fight in YouTube comments. Seems you can't go anywhere without finding Fred slander. Oh, you guys keep fighting that good fight, Lion Hunter and Tom Duke. I always appreciate seeing y'all doing that in other places. I understand that. Well, listen, I got a little bit of a fight to make this morning with Mr. Doug Smith, idiot, once again, doing some bullshit, man. Listen, you work for the Toronto Star. This is supposedly one of the most important newspapers in Toronto as far as being reputable, like Toronto Sun. We don't find it as reputable. It's kind of a tabloid. Well, the Star is supposed to be a little bit more reputable, although I'll bet you it's not on even the level of the Globe and Mail. I'm sorry, Star. Y'all suck. You turn it into a dirt rag because you're putting out bullshit, is basically what I'm going to say right now. You all about putting hot air and rumors out there and putting on your front page of your sports and talking about like Nick Nurse and his job and whether he's in trouble and whether he's going to the Houston Rockets and we're going to get Ime Udoka. I mean, serious. You know what? Listen, I remember this about you, Doug Smith, that you have a personal connection to Ime Udoka. Like you like him. I remember you going on and on about him in the past. Like Ime Udoka is a great coach for the Boston Celtics in his rookie year. Well, listen, maybe you have some sort of designs. Like I said, I windowed this shit the other day. I understand where this rumor came from. This rumor came from two places. It came from Ime Udoka himself, and it also came from the Houston Rockets. It got nothing to do with us. Maybe the Rockets would love to fire Steven Silas and bring Nick Nurse down there and coach that team. Do you think Nick Nurse would want to do that? No, that team's a mess. You think he has time and patience for dealing with those young idiots down there on the Rockets team right now? No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't want to go down there. Some people say, well, he has ties with Houston's team because of his G League time. Well, who cares? He has ties to Team Canada. He's coaching an Olympic team for our national team. So it's like, listen, this is so stupid. Doug Smith, I'm realizing now that you're just really old and you get fooled easy. That like you don't understand the new age of social media and news. It's like you just take everything as a rumor. Where the fuck are you hearing this shit, bro? Did you read it off of NBA Central on Twitter, and that's why you think it's a real thing? Maybe they heard it from a bullshit rumor too. There's so many rumors out there just being spread all around, and half that shit is not newsworthy. So why do you put it on the sports page on the Toronto Star in the morning, Doug Smith? I mean, in some ways, it's like you're a tabloid, bro. You're yellow journalism. This is not a good thing. This is not real or in fact. I mean, look at this. How is the team performing right now? They're playing really good. Nick Nurse is got them playing good. He's been doing a good job recently. So in some ways, it's like this timing of this is really weird. Like, why do you and Bob McCallum start spouting off all these dumbass rumors on mainstream Toronto places on sports media? All of a sudden, when the Raptors are starting to get it out of the mud and starting to look good, you want to cause a little dissension? You want to cause a little problems just by putting fucking Ime Udoka rumors on your Toronto Star page? I mean, seriously, Doug Smith, fuck you, man. I've said this a couple times this year, and I'm saying it even more passionately right now. I think that people should boycott the Toronto Star and stop supporting a fucking rag like that employs an old head like him that's so out of touch that he cannot suss out what is a real rumor or a real factual kind of thing or just some bullshit that's made up on social media by some, who knows, fans. I think it could be Rocket fan wants to get Nick Nurse down there. It could be also that Ime Udoka wants another coaching job and he thinks everybody's forgotten about him. So he's got his agent floating bullshit out there. There's all kinds of different reasons for this. And, people are starting to question, is Nick Nurse in trouble? See, you have a bad side effect with your bullshit, your bullshit kind of pieces like that, Doug Smith. You should have more responsibility. You should be fact checking a little bit better. You should be looking into this a little bit with more mental capacity as far as like thinking it through instead of just fucking writing it out and just duplicating it when you're basically taking internet bullshit and putting it on a newspaper. That's what pisses me off about this. You're supposed to be reputable, but you're not because you're old and you're dumb and you're getting fooled by stupid shit. And that's the sad thing about this. Maybe you're like going out the pasture. You need to retire, I think, bro, because I think the internet's fooling you at this point. I think that's just basically what it is, Doug Smith. That the internet is fooling you. It's too confusing for old head like you. This internet is too confusing. I can't tell what's real or not. So I'm just gonna fucking put anything out there. Yeah, you think this team is not doing well right now? You go watch that tape from Miami Heat. Yeah, fuck you, Doug Smith. You pissed me off so bad, you fucking piece of shit. And everybody should just stop buying the Toronto Star, stop supporting it. Go read the Globe and Mail. It's a much better newspaper. And yeah, forget about the Toronto Star and idiot ass Doug Smith. I was wondering, did he put this rumor out because it's the opening day of baseball? That he wants to turn people off from the Raptors to go funnel them towards watching the Blue Jays because their season's just starting? Maybe that could very well be it in some ways. That, a lot of people do turn off the basketball when the baseball starts, depending on how the basketball has been doing. And that this is the sure sign. Tell everybody that Nick Nurse is a garbage coach and he's probably going to get fired and sent to the Rockets. This is hilarious and stupid. Oh my gosh, so stupid. They make me so mad. Click saying Thad is washed, laughing my ass off. He's not making an impact in the playoffs. That's not totally true. Listen, he can do a little bit what he did last year. You got to understand, it's his smarts, it's his intelligence, it's his years accrued of knowledge that make him valuable in these kind of situations. I've described it in recent weeks as him being like a break-in case of emergency, great vet that can come in and fill in good minutes just to help out and just hold minutes, and he'll even do some really great things involved in things. So I don't know. I'm not totally believing this. I think that the guy can still play. See, that's the difference. I think he can still play, and that we just don't need to play him right now because we know what he is and we know what we get from him. And right now, some ways we're like fast tracking, trying to get, we were trying to fast track Will Barton into the rotation. But, I don't know, Jeffrey Dowtin now or whatever. We don't need to put minutes on Thad right now. And maybe it does have something to do with that bonus and playing 60 games. I don't know. But either way, he's valuable for the playoff run. He definitely is. It's just, I don't know what's going on. And I don't like Thad getting all goofy with his social media right at the end of the season. Cowboys here. Good to see Cowboy. Canadian Cowboy Bradley in the house. Good morning, Lex and Raptor Freaks. Let's go. Can't wait for the game. I believe. Let's get this win. Let's keep the ball moving around. Let's go. Yes, Bradley. TGIF. Have a great day, Bradley. And be ready for this game tonight. 7 p.m., y'all. It's a little bit earlier start. It's not going to be right at 7:30. It's going to be at 7, y'all. Half hour earlier. So be ready for the earlier start, y'all. Let's see. Isaac's here. Good to see the benevolent Isaac Campbell holding it down in Canada's nation's capital, Ottawa. Tom Duke putting casuals in their place since circa 95. Yeah, you go, Tom Duke. Let them know. Let them know what a Raptor Freak knows and that this team is badass and we're coming. We're coming. Race Mode Daily saying good morning, Friday. Game day. Let's go. You go, Edmund. Safe travels to you, sir, wherever you are flying to and fro from and wherever you have been. And just hope that you are safe. That's all. Nako saying slightly off topic, but most newspapers are kind of bad and have some sort of corporate agenda. But yeah, fuck Doug Smith. Thank you, Gerald. Thank you for that. Fuck Doug Smith. And I will double down on that and say it once again. Fuck Doug Smith. Yeah, I think there is some sort of weird corporate agenda to why they would have Doug Smith purport rumors that are unsubstantiated. One thing I noticed was he wasn't there for the practice interview yesterday with Nick Nurse. He dare not show his face to the great Nick Nurse on the day that he slanderizes and puts out some bullshit rumors about him being in trouble with his job. That once again, I cannot say this enough, that Masai Ujiri's guy is Nick Nurse. That once again, we are a team like Golden State or Miami. We have a coach that we believe in, that has a system that has been working and is doing so many good things for our team, just like Eric Spoelstra or Steve Kerr. that we have our coach like they have their coach, and that they've gone through mid years where they've had losing and problems, and that they can their coach? No, they did not, because they knew their coaches were some of the best coaches in the league, and that they knew that there's not much better alternatives. Well, we have that here also. That Nick Nurse is that kind of coach, like Spoelstra and Kerr and Popovich. And that people don't understand this. They look at our record and they see how we struggled this year. And obviously it's the coach's fault and that he needs to be fired. Well, that's not how this works, y'all. In fact, you got to look at a lot of different things that happened this season. First of all, look, everybody has a team like this year. You want to go and look at us like this? Well, go look at every other team that's hanging right around 500 that's had a mid-season and that's had trouble. You're going to start rumors about every single coach on every single one of those teams. Spoelstra's in this category. Kerr's in this category too. Are they saying that they're going to fire Steve Kerr and Eric Spoelstra because they had mid-years also? That's what I'm saying. Let's look at this whole picture here. And know that this is such a dumb rumor that, listen, he's an institution here. Nick Nurse is, once again, I'll say this. I've said this so many times. Dwayne Casey was not Masai Ujiri's coach, and he gave him 7 years to coach the team still, even though he wasn't his choice. Well, Masai Ujiri's choice is Nick Nurse. So you don't think the guy he was grooming and hoping to bring up and make his head coach, he would want to keep him around? And so it's just so much flawed logic to Doug Smith's piece on Toronto Star this yesterday morning. And shame on you, Doug. You're an idiot. And retire, please. Please retire. Go retire. I see Steve Simmons is retiring. Why don't you fucking retire too? All y'all old white ass motherfuckers that have been covering sports in Toronto, I see you at Steve Simmons' retirement party. Y'all all need to go retire, motherfuckers, and give people that look more like the people that play the sports, and maybe just generally diversity in general in those sports reporting jobs. Yeah, we need more women. We need more minorities. We need more everybody instead of your old white ass idiot, old ass motherfuckers like Doug Smith. So go on, put yourself to the pasture. How about that, Doug Smith? Yeah, that's what I'm saying this morning. Yeah, MSJ's here. Good to see MSJ. This is going to be a fun game. Will be cool to see Pirtle versus Embiid here tonight. Yeah, well, it's not here. We're in Philly. We're in the enemy lines. We're going to Wells Fargo, baby. We're going on the road, and we're going to go see what we can do against those Sixers tonight. Yeah, I like some of the ways we match up with them, actually. One of the keys to the victory for tonight is going to be they can do a couple of different things. And they haven't really, they won't divulge what they're going to do. Fred was very coy yesterday, saying, I'm not going to tell you what we're doing to Embiid. Nick Nurse has schemes. He has schemes and ideas. In the past, we've had the philosophy of trying to keep the ball out of Joel Embiid's hands, denying him getting the ball in the first place. This was a scheme that we used a lot in the playoffs against them last year. Well, one of the other schemes that we could do is denying James Harden the ball into his hands. That could be very effective also, seeing as he's kind of the hub, the distributor, the assist guy for their team at this point. Well, one way you can really, really be effective is just don't let him get his hands on the damn ball. Limit his touches. And that is something that I'll bet you we will try and do to either Embiid or Harden. One of those guys is getting froze out. And our defense is not going to let them get the ball very much. Watch. And that's why Joel sometimes ends up with a very, very low scoring output against the Raptors, because we're very good at gatekeeping, at keeping them out from giving the ball to him or having the ball go through him. And I want to see something like that tonight. If it's Harden, sure, that's great because he is the hub. But if it's also Embiid, that's fantastic. Deny him the ball. Don't let him even get it. That's how he can't score, if he can't even get the damn ball. And I'm all about that. Now, for Maxey, this is super, super important, and this is where he burns us. We have to find him. Whenever he gets that ball in transition and he starts running down that court, it may not be Fred, but it could be OG, it could be Scotty, it could be any of our guys. They got to find him and stop his momentum. They cannot let this man get a full head of speed and just go right down the court, because he can shoot at his fastest speed. He's this incredible guy who doesn't have to slow down to shoot. He can dribble and run right down the court, and in full stride, he'll throw that shot up and he will put it in. So we've got to find Maxey in transition, make sure that we slow down the ball coming down the court and we don't let him get going full head of steam, because that could be a real big problem. And that was a problem for us last year in the playoffs against them. So we need to make sure those two things are happening. Now, if we can limit any secondary players otherwise, as far as Georges Niang, Tobias Harris, those kind of secondary scores for them, Milton, whatever, that it could be really good for us too. So I'm excited about tonight too. We're going to have it'll be a fun matchup. We're improved. They're improved. We have new personnel. They have new personnel. It's going to be a new battle, a different one than last season's postseason. Yeah. Mike is saying, I went 20 rounds with a Masai hating guy. His hate was beyond anything I have seen yet. Crazy ideas about how the team is supposed to be contending always, and trade assets are needed. Had to move on. Sometimes it's not worth arguing with idiots. Like, seriously, there's more and more evidence that Masai Ujiri is a genius and he's a badass. It just mounts as time goes on. People that don't see it don't want to see it, or they don't want to believe it, but it's there. It's very true, and it's all there. And one of the ways that the evidence is there is this is a very good one. Recently, it's been discovered that the Raptors starting five is the best 5-person unit in the NBA currently, since we got Jakob, and we have him in the starting lineup with Scotty Barnes, Fred, OG, and Pascal. That is the best starting best 5-guy lineup in the whole entire league statistically. Well, look at that lineup and we want to know something crazy other than Fred, who, he does count technically for us. All of them have been drafted by the Toronto Raptors. That in some ways that greatness of our starting five being so good and all of them being Toronto draft picks, other than Fred, who kind of really does count as a Toronto draft pick, even though he wasn't drafted, because we're the ones who put the chance on him and kept him and brought him up. So that is something, that's a testament to the greatness of Masai Ujiri right there, that he has a lineup that he drafted all the players on and or brought them in as undrafted player. And it is the best 5 combination in the NBA currently today. There's your ammunition right there, Mike, for that idiot. Monique is here. She has retracted her message, but always good to see superfan Monique Lawrence. I'm sure she'll have more to say. Tom Duke is saying the casuals are not casual with their hate. So fun watching Federico kicking ass lately. He has grown this year. The hate is unreal for our leaders, not from the Raptor Freak family. Love you, folks. Yes. Freddie said yesterday in his interview, there's a lot of stupid people out there, and he meant it. He's like, listen, I know he was straight up talking about people like he who shall not be named and all kinds of other people out there. He basically said it, and he was talking about Charlotte Hornets, that people don't understand how good the Hornets are right now, but he's just saying in general that there's a lot of stupid people out there with opinions right now. Thank you, Fred, for saying that and acknowledging the stupid people out there. And you're right. There are a lot of stupid people out there. And Tom Duke and Lion Hunter are fighting the good fight against them, Freddie, in your behalf and honor of you guys on the Raptors, for sure. Yeah, it's crazy. Banana Bread Tan saying he can be an assistant. I don't mind Thad Young being an assistant on our team, but in some ways I feel like there's bad stuff going on right now, that he's upset. His wife's tweets have been interesting recently. And then, of course, he's saying stuff like the writing's on the wall. You don't want to do that, Thad. It's not a good look, bro. Maybe you wanted that $500,000 for some sort of new addition to your training gym for the youngsters or something. I don't know. I don't know why the Raptors do what they do, but they're doing it for a reason. And there may be some sort of financial reason, or they're doing something for some reason or whatever. I know they do manipulate things like this, but they're a business and they have to figure out how to do stuff. And I hate to think that they don't want you to get that extra money, but do you need that money that badly? Badly? I mean, seriously, let's look at this from all sides. Seriously. Fiercely's here. Good to see Fiercely Salsera, Raptors Freak family, and Twitch Scotty Barnes family. Good morning, fam. Looking forward to the game later. If we lock Embiid and Maxey, we'll be good. Yeah, I want to see. What do you guys think? This year, Joel Embiid has been having an explosion. with his scoring, and he's been scoring very, very well. But we know the history of him playing against the Raptors. He doesn't get his scoring average when he plays against us. In fact, we contain him to a degree. Sometimes we get him as goose egg. That was happening when we had Marc Gasol. He couldn't do nothing. Well, Nick did say he's improved a lot, and his weaknesses are limiting now. There's not as many weaknesses to Joel's game at this point, especially since he's hitting his outside shots way more consistent. You got to pick your fire with him and just hope and pray that he's missing or trying to get him to miss in some ways and stuff like that. It'll be interesting to see how an improved Joel Embiid can still possibly be maybe contained by a very stifling multi-man Raptors defense that is just attacking him with all kinds of different looks, different size, shape guys coming at him all kinds of different ways and just messing him up and frustrating him. If I know Nick Nurse, that's one thing he is having fun doing in the 24 hours now. See, he's not scared of Joel Embiid. He takes him as a challenge. He takes it as a fun challenge where he can have a chance to show how successful he is as a defensive coach against such a powerful offensive weapon like that. Yeah, that's how we look at things. We don't fear him. We look at him and we say, how can we take him apart and not let him get what he likes to get? And I'm all about that today. Monique is saying, good morning, everyone, and happy game day. Let's start this road trip on a good note. Yes, Monique, yes, and yes, and yes. Let's get this big W. Listen, we can't mess around. The Atlanta Hawks are playing again tonight also in standings watch, and we need to watch out and see what can happen tonight with, we need to win and they need to lose against the Brooklyn Nets in Brooklyn tonight so that we can get ahead of them and get in that higher seed in the play-in. We very much need that bad. Also playing tonight, Chicago is in Charlotte. Let's see how they do with the Hornets right now. They are behind us still. Indy is playing Oklahoma City. Washington is hosting the Magic. The Celtics are on the second night of a back-to-back, hosting the Jazz. The Cavs are hosting the Knicks, and the Pistons are playing in the Futility Bowl against the Houston Rockets in Texas tonight. So that's basically your Eastern Conference teams standings watch. As far as teams, we're definitely going to be looking at that Atlanta at Brooklyn game tonight, maybe the Chicago and Charlotte game also, as far as teams that are around us in the standings right now. All right, let's keep going with the preview. Trevor J saying the last time Philadelphia saw the Raptors is going to be a different Raptors team they're going to see tonight. Well, this is the thing, and I watched Raptors yesterday with Akil Augustine and Randy Urban and Sherman Hamilton, and this is one of the things they're saying also is like in some ways this is a totally different Philadelphia team we're going to see also. They've got their shit together way better than they did in the first month of the season, obviously, when we played the two games here. And then we played another game against them in Philly more in December. But they've changed a bit in the months since then. So they're a little bit different too. So it should be very interesting. It's like both teams should be improved with better personnel. And it'll be very much an even bigger battle than the other ones that we've had before. They're winning the series 2-1 right now. Well, I want to even this series for the season. I don't want to go down 3-1 to the Philadelphia 76ers for the season. I would like to have a 2-2, and that will signify something good, especially against a team that's been at the top of the Eastern Conference for the whole season and having a pretty successful year to split the season with them. That would be really good. Let's see. Troy Henry's here. Good to see Troy. Last night's game was crazy with the Bucks in Boston. What a blowout it was. Yeah, I saw that, Jason and Jalen adding up to 70 points, them getting 140 and blowing out the Milwaukee Bucks on their own home court. Yeah. Oh. Well, the Celtics have had different issues this week also, but whatever. It is what it is. In some ways, I'm disappointed in you, Giannis. In your team, you should have beat the Celtics. I have a bounty on them. Y'all need to put them out if you play them in the playoffs. I don't want to see the Celtics getting anywhere near the NBA Finals this year. So you put them out, Milwaukee, if you do get them later on in the playoffs. Seriously. Jimmy's saying all these old reporters need to retire. This is the damn truth. It really is. We got young blood coming up with Orrin Weisfeld, Samson Folk, and Will Lou and people like that. You old heads, go on to put to pasture. You need to get out there and just start grazing your grass. All right? Because we're sick of this out of pocket, irresponsible reporting in the Toronto Star yesterday morning about coach rumors about our coach. Yeah, there's no substantiation to this other than I am pretty sure that Emma Udoka's manager said, "Do you want to be talked about? Do you want to get a job next year? Well, let me start a rumor. Let me start some rumors and get you out there back in your name in people's ears." I think that's what it is, and they're just picking Nick Nurse like out of the air. It's like I said, it could be that Emma Udoka is like, listen, I think I'd like to coach the Raptors. That's a great job. I'd love to be there. Masai's my dude, or whatever. And then they put the rumor out that way. They think that there's something wrong with the team, with the coach and stuff. Some people are misreading Masai Ujiri's trade deadline press conference. He said some things. He said, yeah, the guys have been selfish and haven't been sharing the ball. He said, yeah, we need to develop these guys better. But he didn't say that it was like a fail or that everything has been absolutely Gripe. Like everybody is like misreading some of what Masai said at that trade deadline press conference. He also said that they believe in their coach and that they're very happy with the job that he's been doing. Nick in his press conference yesterday talked about, why this season has been so difficult. And he started to say, well, I could go on about how the schedule was absolutely crazy. I could go on about injuries. I could go on about this, and this. He said, for example, the game we lost to Miami this season, we had gotten into the hotel room at 4 a.m. in Miami from a back-to-back playing Brooklyn the night before. So he's like, we would have swept them if we didn't have to come in so late. We might have beaten Miami on that game also, and there would have been a clean sweep. That very first game we played Miami, we had to lose to them just because of travel. And, that's what he's trying to say. It's like they really threw us the fire at the beginning of the season right away. He's not using those as excuses, but these were definitely factors in the reason why the Raptors season went the way it did. That people, if you're not astute enough to understand how scheduling can hurt an NBA team in different ways, as far as how many days rest or back-to-backs or travel, or how you can set up teams to have a favor in a matchup because they have those rests and stuff like that, then yeah, you got to really pay close attention. The schedule makers were not our friend this year. In fact, when I saw the schedule last year, I was like, this is a horrible schedule. But then all this news came out saying that it was one of the easiest schedules in the league this year. And I was like, okay, I believe it when I see it. And I didn't believe it, and I shouldn't have, because it wasn't an easy schedule. Sure, there may have been shorter distances and travel, and maybe they got some rest advantages in certain ways during the season because they try and balance everything in certain ways. But overall, this schedule was extremely hard for the Toronto Raptors this season, and is a huge factor in why we're a 500 team today. It's a huge, huge factor. Let's see. Nako's saying, I thought Thad was pretty good last year's playoffs, and he's still pretty smart. That's exactly how I look at it too, Gerald, is that he's extremely smart. He's a great player for us to have and on our playoff roster. He's a vet. He's a good person to have around for sure. I'm all about it, and I agree with you on that one. Let's see. I'm going to catch back up on where we are. MSJ saying, Doug Smith, I really think he is in the twilight of his career, making it up as he goes along at this point. And yeah, he never has much to say that's good. Bob McCown, puke feels coming on. Well, it's interesting that like in the season, we've had these moments where all of a sudden we have joy and happiness and hope because the Raptors are winning and they're doing way better than usual than they have so far this season. But all of a sudden, then Bob McCown's going on his radio show. I hear that OG's not happy on the Raptors. Oh, really, Bob? Where'd you hear that? I think I heard it in Union Station bathroom. Actually, it was written on the stall wall. That's my source. Oh, Bob, it must be true then that OG's not happy. Okay. Yeah, and I think he's going to be wanting to be traded because of this. It's bullshit like this. It's Bob McCown bullshit. I love doing the old ass, stupid ass motherfucking Bob McCown impressions on this show. It's hilarious. This is Bob McCown. Caller, what's your question? Fun guy saying, Nick doesn't have to get fired, bro. His contract is expiring. That's a huge part of many of the rumors and wasn't just Doug Smith. Many reporters saying this, where there's smoke, there's usually fire. Yeah, I still don't buy it, man. I still don't buy it. Listen, there's a commitment that he has with Team Canada till 2024. And if the contracts don't exactly line up, in some ways, they really kind of reinforce that he is ensconced in what we're doing here. Nah, see, listen, in some ways, what other people are saying is like, look, this is a power group. With you got your GM, you got your coach, and you got that's the kind of like thing you want to do. If they're not having problems working together, then there shouldn't be any problems. Maybe this is some sort of weird clutch thing that they're doing to try and get his value up or say, oh, you could be in trouble and lose him. I don't know exactly when his contract is up. But I'm not worried about this. Seriously. In all ways and all kinds of things, Nick loves being in Canada. And once again, I think that people get all this crazy ideas about this and this and this just because of our record, maybe because of that contract. But in some ways, he's a lot more family and ensconced in his job and safe than people really realize. I'll believe it when I see it. How about that? That he's the coach of Team Canada. And that isn't something you like really take frivolously. And what? He's going to coach Team Canada while he's a coach of the Houston Rockets? Yeah, that ain't going to fucking happen. So in a lot of ways, the security of him being on the Raptors is reinforced by the fact that he is the coach of Team Canada. And that makes it like kind of awkward in some ways for him to leave the Raptors. In some ways, maybe that's very much by design. Maybe this whole idea, like him being the coach of the Raptors and Team Canada, is to kind of make this kind of noise go away and kind of be stupid. It's like, look, well, he's the coach of Canada. What is he going to do? Like, seriously, is he going to dismiss that job and we're going to give it to Nate Bjorngren? And all of a sudden, oh, Nate Bjorngren's our coach of Team Canada now because Nick went to Houston to go coach a bunch of out-of-pocket youngsters that are fundamentally horrible. Yeah, that sounds like a nightmare job for Nick Nurse. You think Nick Nurse wants to go down there and take over for Steven Silas? No, he doesn't. And that's why I was like, what this none of this logically makes sense. I know that you think that where there's smoke, there's fire, but there's been all kinds of dumbass smoke about OG. There's been all kinds of dumbass smoke about different people throughout the history of the Raptors, and it doesn't mean jack shit. And I really do feel like this is the case here too. Nameless is saying, CEBL Italiano. Lex, thank you. I appreciate that. I will be nothing without my teacher, though. That I have nothing with an Italian lessons without my Italian teacher, Nameless. Yes. Callie's saying, I want to see us put a beating on them. It would be so satisfying. Ooh, yeah. Let's get that game vibe, 5 vibes. Wells Fargo. Ooh, yeah. Let's go in there and just like recapture that amazingness in game 5 of the first round last year against the Philadelphia 76ers, that dominance, that wave, that do or die attitude we had with our backs up against the wall, and just how much we just took over and killed them on their own home court last season in game 5. If we could replicate that game in different ways, woo-hoo-hoo, it will be such a sweet Friday night for the Raptors Nation. Oh, yeah, it will be. Logical saying there was a lot of smoke about Raptors being sellers at trade deadline. We were buyers. So, yeah, when things happen, that's when it's real. Thank you, Mike. Thank you. This is a big part of it. It's like there's so much smoke out there with Twitter and all these fucking idiots that just make shit up. In fact, the power of Twitter and other places on social media at this point is that little Johnny, who's 13 and lives in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and plays Little League and has a paper route, can write some shit on Twitter, and somebody who's actually established and verified can come on there and say, oh, this sounds good, and run with it. That's what I'm saying. We don't know where this bullshit comes from. We don't know where this smoke comes from. It could come from little Johnny in Tulsa, Oklahoma that has a paper route. So that's what I'm saying. Like, look, better be verified. And even on Twitter, as of April 1st, I don't give a shit if you're verified. I don't believe you anyway. It's like on Twitter, I'm really going to have to try and figure this out. All right, I already follow Josh Lewenberg. That's all I need. I just need to be able to see Josh Lewenberg and know that that's the real Josh Lewenberg. I don't care if he has a blue check or not, because Twitter's changing all that bullshit for April 1st. What a glorious April Fool's Day joke y'all got coming up tomorrow. It's going to be fantastic to see all the confusion when people buy their blue checks and they can be verified by paying for it. And then all the real verified accounts will not have them because they have more pride to pay the money to Twitter to have the blue checks. So it's just going to be even more confusing about who is legitimately smoke and who is just bullshit. So that's what I'm saying. We got to suss out this shit more than ever, the bullshit that's out there. And when you do it with critical thinking, you can pretty much suss it out pretty quick. That you can find that the smoke is just smoke and is bullshit if you just really use your brain and logically think it through. Critical thinking is now more than ever in today's world with social media and now Twitter's crazy ass blue check system. You got to have critical thinking. Oh my gosh. Space Cadet saying the next Nick Nurse post game is going to be very awkward when Doug Smith asks a question. Well, this isn't the first time I'm sure he's pissed off a player or the coach and like by being out of pocket with bullshit. Yeah. In some ways, you know, you got to wonder at what point is enough enough? And you just like, fuck you, Doug Smith. Like, I'd love to see Nick Nurse just get up there and say, fuck you, Doug Smith. That would be so fun. Tom Duke saying, fuck you, Doug Smith. Just had to say it. See, Tom had to say it too. Maybe Nick will say it too. Guardian Transit saying, sports reporters that actually know nothing about the game figure they have to go to any extent to make a story up. Yeah, I wonder about Doug. Like, how much do you actually pay attention to this team? Like, seriously, it doesn't take a whole lot from me to do the arithmetic and realize that this doesn't add up, Doug. So why isn't that you're an established person in this field for so long that you can't suss this out and figure out that this doesn't totally make sense? I mean, all kinds of parts of it don't make sense. Whether it's the Nick Nurse thing, whether it's the Udoka thing doesn't make any fucking sense. You know, some of the fans up here are like, yeah, we want Udoka. No, you don't. Trust me, you do not. And then a lot of Houston fans do want Nick Nurse to coach them down there. In fact, they're getting on Doug Smith's story on Twitter and they're saying stuff like, yes, send Nick down here. We want Nick as our coach for the Rockets. Some of them are even saying, send him home, send him home. Well, I'll believe it when I see it. And if this shit does go down this way, I'll be shocked. And you know what? Okay, then. You guys were right. But honestly, I feel like this is such bullshit. And once again, I question the timing of this with the Raptors on an upswing and playing better all of a sudden. You want to cause a distraction for our team when things are good, Doug Smith? Is this the reasoning for why you do this kind of bullshit? Is that in some ways you hate the Raptors, you don't want to see them do well, and when they don't do well, you gleefully tweet about it all the time on your tweets, and then when they start doing well against what you wish, then you got to start a bullshit rumor about the coach in the middle of a playoff run to try and get a good seed? Yeah, that's fucked up. I'm reading through all the lines and notice that that's what is going on here is the timing's real suspicious after a win against the Miami Heat on Tuesday. Yeah, real suspicious timing. Oh yeah. Let's see. Jimmy's saying, laughing my ass off. Why the fuck would he want to go to the Rockets? He'd have an aneurysm with that team. Laughing my ass off. Not to mention, people actually think we'd hire that home record front office. Fuck right off with that noise. Yeah. Listen, I'm telling you, Ime Udoka, you know, he may be attractive to some people. You know who really wants him is Laker Nation. Laker Nation, nah, don't get Ime Udoka to Toronto. We want him here in the Lakers. They don't even care about Darvin Ham. You know, toss him this side to bring in that womanizing Ime Udoka. Yeah, well, you go ahead, Lakers. You've been a toxic dumpster fire for a while. You go ahead and get him to be your coach. That's fine. Masai Ujiri may have Nigerian connections with Ime Udoka, but also Masai Ujiri has connections to being a social justice warrior, a conscientious leader of his organization that does things right. And bringing in Ime Udoka is not doing things right. Trust me. It sends the wrong message, not only to the employees of MLSE, but also to the fan nation of the Raptors. That, you think that some Raptor fans will get very turned off if Ime Udoka does show up and he's like the coach of our team all of a sudden. I'm serious. You saw how people turned on Terrence Davis Jr. in that summer after that little incident in New York with his girlfriend and the phone. Yeah, you think that these people that didn't like Terrence Davis being on our team are gonna be okay with Udoka being the coach? No. And I think that most people around the Raptors realize this, that our fan nation is very much SJW, social justice warriors. We're very socially conscious, and we are not having this kind of toxic around our team, especially at a very essential position like the head coach. So, I mean, you can really suss this out in each part and realize the holes and the flaws in the logic of it. You really, really can. Let's see. G saying Koloko and Ron Harper Jr. rocking the Raptors gear. It's fun. They're showing the pictures of them getting on the plane to go to Philly yesterday. And Koloko's getting on the plane wearing like slippers. And like a friend of his was calling him out. He's like, "What are you wearing, Koloko?" Going and getting on the plane. And he's like, "Leave me alone. Let me do my life, bro." It's hilarious. I love that kind of stuff. But of course, Dad's getting on the plane looking like he wants to kill someone. Holy crap. Like, man, I'm really disappointed in Thad right now. Just chill. The season's almost over. Just be strong. You know that this may be not happening the way you want it to. But listen, how much money is enough money? And seriously, maybe the Raptors need to do this for economic reasons. I don't know. Either way, I don't know. I got to trust my team and go with them. Unfortunately, I love you, Thad, and I'm really appreciate your service with us. But I'm a Raptors company man, and if they're making the decision to do the things that they're doing with your bonus and that I have to support them. I'm sorry, because there's probably good reasons for why. So, Cowboys saying, Scotty, watch your ankles. Plus, this is the only Raptors channel I watch. Everywhere else, they talk shit and talk trade talk and negative. What's wrong with these fake news and fans? Big up to you, Lex. That's right. Well, this is what we're the real ones because listen, we act like the team. We kept the band together. We didn't do anything weird at the trade deadline, like Mike said, where we sold all our guys. We bought and we brought in Jakob. And that's what I'm saying. In some ways, you can realize go listen to them, go listen to what they're saying, and come listen to me and realize that, like, in some ways, I'm more in touch with what's going on with the team because in some ways, we're not an influx team. We're not trying to shuffle things around all the time. Try this, move this guy in, move this guy out, fire your coach, get a new coach, do this. No, we build it right with the right people, and we work through it together instead of just tossing guys to the side when it doesn't work exactly right. And in some ways, we're the antithesis of society in the disposableness of workers. That we don't look at that way. Like just because Nick Nurse is having a difficult year doesn't mean we want to throw him away with the garbage. That we look at it where we're problem solvers, we're intelligent, we know how to go in the workshop and work it out to get a better result. And that's a lot of what we're doing this season is we're working it out to get a better result, and we're finding better results now. So that's part of it. You can throw people out and get rid of them, and then you have to go through the whole process all over again with them. And it's just as awkward and just as full of losing with the new person. So why not get through it with the person you already do, and then you get on the other side and you get there faster instead of having to go through the transition, the orientation, new person coming in and going through all the same damn shit that you would have went through anyway with the old coach. That's the thing that people don't realize. You can't just change your coaches like underwear and things are just magically better. There's a lot to it, a lot more than they think it is. Let's see. Sheer Khan's here. Good to see Sheer Khan. Good morning, Raptor Freak family. First big test towards the end of the season, going against a full-strength Philly team. Raptors playing well, so should be a good one. We have Yak to bother Embiid, put Dowtin on the perimeter, and we are good. This is actually really smart. Sheer Khan bringing up Jeffrey Dowtin Jr. And, well, maybe this is the dude we need chasing around Tyrese Maxey tonight. That this dude may have been an addition this season that could have helped us in the playoffs last year, dealing with Maxey and running around after him. So I think that this is a good prediction, Sheer Khan, that we may see Jeffrey getting out there and getting after and just staying dogged on Tyrese Maxey as best as he can. We'll have to see. Fun guy saying, obviously it's real when it happens. Logical. 90% of smoke is fire. Jakob, Ben Simmons, Kyrie, Durant, Lowry, James, Harden. So don't know what you're trying to get to. It's always much more fire than just smoke. See, I don't believe that, fun guy. I love you, man, my 905 dude. But listen, this is bullshit. Seriously, think about this logically, my good friend, fun guy. We don't want Udoka, first of all. It's more likely that we want to keep Nick Nurse and have him around. He's a part of our culture. The players do like Nick Nurse. The front office does like Nick Nurse. There's not things fractured or broken like people think there are. Some people are trying to say the front office isn't happy with Nick Nurse, but that's not actually true. Some people are trying to say the players are not happy with Nick Nurse, but that's not actually true either. Because listen, the players wouldn't put the effort and still believe in him and do the plan that he puts in front of them for games. Like if you lose the players, you're fucked. And he has not ever lost the players this season. There's been different levels of consistent output and energy, but otherwise, these guys have, for the most part, really bought in and played his crazy ass defensive style, even when they weren't winning that well. They still played their asses off for him. And that's the first evidence right there. Are the guys working their ass off still for the coach? Well, then they still believe in him. So that's what I'm saying. There's no evidence in some ways. Like the smoke is just somebody writing something. It's just a rumor. And to me, that's not real smoke. That's just a rumor. That's Jake from State Farm. OG is unhappy here in Toronto kind of shit. It's the same fucking shit. Seriously, think about it. Has OG shown that he's unhappy here? Has any of that stuff turned out to be real smoke? No. And this is why I'm going to lump this in the same category. Is a lot of ways it's the same shit. Fiercey saying, if we put OG on Harden, it's going to be gold. Ooh, I like that, Fiercey. Yeah, I like that idea. Tie him up real good. Don't let him do nothing. In fact, deny him the ball, OG. Just get in front of him. Get in that passing lane. Don't let him get nothing. Let Harden get those touches. Don't let him do none of his fancy passing. Mike saying, I get that part, fun guy, but Masai went over this in the beginning of the year. Compared Nurse to Kobe, Masai, Ronaldo, and other teams could dream about getting Nick Nurse. Masai is the decider. That's exactly right there. You know, that's what they said. Like the Lakers want Nick Nurse in the offseason last year. They say, oh, we want Nick Nurse to come and coach our team before they got Darvin Ham. Well, what did Masai say? They can dream. And then he put out the names Kobe and Maxey. And, listen, these are not like slouch names. In fact, that's a tell right there to how high esteem Masai Ujiri thinks of Nick Nurse, is that he put him in the same sentence as Kobe Bryant and Lionel Messi. You know, like, dude, he's saying that this dude is that of coaching. So you think that Masai Ujiri values Nick Nurse? And that he wants to pay him money when his contract's up and keep him in the fold? Yeah, he does. He does. One of the things Nick talked about yesterday in his press conference, they asked him about Eric Khoury and his job that he did on the 905 this season. Very interesting to hear Nick say what he said. He said, first of all, guys, this thing is usually a 2-year thing. We are going to have him for the coach next year also, because this year is the first year. He gets a second try on the second year also. And he said, listen, he didn't start very well. No, he had a hard, rough time in the beginning, but he figured things out more and he got better as the season went on. 905 is not an easy league to coach in. The G League is very much in flux. He said that all the teams in the G League are very equal because usually they have about the same kind of level of talent. So it's a very, very parity, like heavy with parity kind of league. So he said that he wasn't unhappy with Eric Khoury's job as the coach of the 905 this season. He said he started slow, he got way better, and that he is going to be around next year to coach the team once again next season. So there you go. Some information on Eric Khoury and his report card with Nick Nurse and how he looked at it, the whole thing. Didn't start too great, but picked it up, got better, and learned a lot this season, and that this is a 2-year thing where he's going to be coaching next year also. Jimmy Pope saying, home record. Okay, so you meant when you said that above about M.A. Udoka, home record. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Listen, we value women in our organization. What kind of a message does it send to the strong women in MLSC's organization working for the Raptors when you're going to bring in M.A. Udoka? Like, seriously, that's not a good message in some ways. It's not that we're worried about him doing what he's going to do, what he does. In some ways, he may not have any kind of impulse control. That it could be, maybe he's getting rehabilitation in this year off. I don't know. Maybe he is going to change completely his lifestyle in some ways. I doubt it. Once you're like that and you're like that and you live that way and you can, you're going to just do it. Trust me. So in some ways, I don't trust him. And I think that, even if he says he's reformed or he's not going to bring that kind of toxic to his new team, I wouldn't trust him to do that. I wouldn't. I don't care what the goal, the positives and all the goals and great things you get from the coaching side with him around. All that other stuff can be so decaying and tough to keep a good, strong foundation on your team when it's toxic on the down low behind the scenes. And that's what I'm saying, bro. You can't have that coming in because it will make things it'll cause waves. Trust me. Troy Henry is saying American commentators were giving their 2 cents on the Raptors last night on how scary they're right now with those bigs and Nick behind them. That's right. That's the thing. People start getting scared of us. They start writing weird smoke about us also to try and slow us down with like weird rumors. Well, Doug Smith, shame on you for being the Toronto Star reporter, falling for some stupid ass shit on NBA Central and putting it on blast and print in a newspaper here in Toronto. Because in some ways, what you do is an average sports fan picks it up and say, oh, the Raptors seem like even more of a dumpster fire with this situation with Nick Nurse. Well, I'm just going to turn off the basketball and watch the baseball now. Is that why you did that, Doug Smith? Is the timing with opening day and the Raptors playing well and maybe still having an interest in what they're doing because they are still pushing to do something in the postseason? Is that what you're trying to do? Is turn people off from basketball to go turn on the baseball? I don't know. Maybe that is what you're doing. Monique is saying, don't make Tyrese Maxey go off for 44 points against limit him to 9. Scarborough Shooting Stars tickets are on sale now. First game, May the 26th. Thanks, Monique, for the reminder. Y'all, if you live out in Scarborough, definitely go and support the CEBL. If you don't, travel and go support the CEBL. Scarborough Shooting Stars playing their first game May the 26th. Definitely get tickets and support Canadian basketball in our Canadian Elite Basketball League. Toronto's got all kinds of basketball all over the place, and something fun for the people out in Scarborough to go to games and get loud and get involved in the sport. I love it. Yeah, we need to watch Maxey. Maxey is very dangerous. We know this. We know all about you, Maxey. And we know that you love coming to Toronto and playing against us. You talk some glowing things about our crowd and our fans. And in some ways, Tyrese is a very friendly dude towards us. He likes the competition. He doesn't have any hate against us. In fact, he just loves playing the sport. And he's just a really good, talented player. In fact, there's a mutual respect, Tyrese Maxey, definitely between us and you. That Raptors Nation, we may hate Joel Embiid, but we don't hate Tyrese Maxey. We think you're a special young player. And in some ways, we are jealous that you're not on our team and that you're somebody that we can respect because you are a good young man and you're upstanding and you're respectful. And in some ways, there's a lot of honor with you, Tyrese Maxey. And that's why we like you in Raptors Nation. There you go. There you go. I like it. Fun guy saying, I don't need you to get it, Logical. It's more fact without need of validation from a fan. You made a stupid statement as a rebuttal to me. Pretty sure I trust reporters with insight more than mere fans. Oh my gosh. Well, depends on which reporter you're talking about. Oh, see now as Doug Smith. Seriously. Fun guy. Seriously. Don't turn to the dark side. Please. Please. Yeah, I mean, you can be mad at Mike for what he's saying, rebuttal to you. But don't just blindly follow Doug Smith. Seriously, you will really just want Nick Nurse fired? Is this what it is? Is he falling into like a storyline that makes you feel good and like, yeah, I've hated Nick all year. I felt like he's done a bad job, so I'm going to get on this train with it because that's part of it too. Is that like in some ways that's a little hook with a little worm on it for somebody like Fun Guy to come along and say, yeah, I'm fucking kind of pissed at Nick Nurse too. I'm going to go with this narrative that Doug Smith's putting out there. That maybe Doug Smith is trying to collect people that are kind of on Nick Nurse this season, or maybe they wanted to fire him all season. People who've kind of been going on, yeah, I want this smoke to be real because I hate Nick Nurse and I don't want to be the coach of the team. That may be some people think. I don't know if Fun Guy has been critical of Nick Nurse at times this season, but is this part of the reason why too, Fun Guy? Because you want it to be true so that you can get rid of Nick Nurse. I'm just saying, bro, I love you, man, but I'm trying to figure this out. I don't trust the reporters. Fuck them. They're wrong all the time. In fact, a lot of people on Twitter are saying on Doug Smith's Twitter, right underneath where he posted is, yeah, if Doug Smith said it, it's not true. If he said it, it's probably never going to happen. So in some ways, thank you, Doug Smith, for putting out your stupid ass bullshit. Because usually when you make these statements and stuff, they're never ever true. So thank you. That sounds like we're going to keep Nick Nurse on this next contract extension, and we're going to re-sign him because you are always wrong, Doug Smith. Thank you. Thank you for saying this. Mugarbe, Lennon's back again. The streak continues, Mr. Lennon. So happy to see you once again. Good morning, everyone. We got to go get this, Raptors. That's right, Mugarbe. Yes, you go, Raptor Freak. Mugarbe Lemon, we are so happy to have you here, man. So happy to have you here. Logical saying clutch tactics to drum up contract interest. So when negotiating, they can be like the Lakers want Nick and are willing to pay this. That's negotiating power. Gary Trent Jr., OG Nick have had rumors and need a new deal. And they're all clutch people. I don't even know if it's them, though. Like in some ways, why would they do this to Nick? It's distracting unless Nick's in on it. He's like, oh, they're going to come out with this. All right, I'll ignore it. I'll know that this is bullshit and all this kind of stuff, and it won't bother me. In some ways, I wouldn't want that. Like he needs to have no distractions. He really has a job that is in front of him that is important with this Raptors team and getting them a higher seed in the playoffs. He doesn't need this distraction. In some ways, his client or his representation isn't benefiting him for putting this out at this timing. I can understand this maybe in the off season, but not in the middle of a run. And that's why once again, I'm using critical thinking and I'm thinking about this logically. Why would Clutch hurt their client? That's what I'm saying. This timing of this is not right. This is more likely coming from Udoka's people because they don't care about the timing. They've been sitting around and maybe they're worried because they're starting to see this is the end of the season and that they need to get their client's name out there more. I think it's more likely to do with people from Udoka's camp making up this rumor than Clutch people because it doesn't help Nick Nurse. He's in the middle of something. He doesn't need this distraction right now. And well, can he call up and say, Clutch, guys, don't do this right now. I'm really trying to we're finally getting on track. I don't need this noise right now. So in some ways, that doesn't totally make sense in a way to me, Mike, that why would Clutch do something at the detriment of its client in some ways? Yeah. And in some ways, this is not a good move for him. Like, why would he want to go to Houston? Seriously. This is not the kind of rumor they want to put out there. I can understand maybe them saying Lakers because that makes sense. That's more attractive in some ways. But Houston? No, this is crazy. All right, Random Gamer's here. We haven't seen Random Gamer in a few months. And of course, Random Gamer, Philadelphia fan, is showing up on the morning of our game against Philly tonight. Let's see what he's saying. Joel Embiid, gamer winner again. Oh my gosh. No. No. That was in Toronto. That's not in Philly. And we're not going to let you get that shot this time, Joel. We will guard you better on the 3-point line. And none of that 3-point shot at the end of like regulation to get you guys a win. I know this is the crazy thing about Joel. He's actually been hitting clutch buzzer beater kind of shots to make the Philadelphia 76ers win. He's asking for the ball in big time situations and trying to take them home and win games. And he's had success this season. But no, I don't want to see that. What's up, Random Gamer? Good morning to you also. But yeah, let's just have a good game. Nobody get hurt. May the best team win. And let's kick the shit out of the Philadelphia 76ers tonight, Toronto Raptors. Yes. It's a friendly rivalry. We missed you, Random Gamer. It's good to see you. Tom Duke saying, haha, no way, Random Gamer. But good to see you. I didn't like you put the eyes there, and Tom Duke's got the Raptors all over the place and W's. I love that, Tom Duke. You go and counterpoint him with the lots of W's and Raptors. I love that. Let's see. Logical saying, I doubt Masai talks to Doug Smith on Nick Nurse's future. Doug gets the same info everyone else does, maybe a little more access, but he's not in the know of Masai, Bobby, Nick conversations and plans. Yeah, once again, critical thinking is your friend in today's world with politics, sports, anything they put out there. Critical thinking is your friend. Learn to think for yourself and really kind of think about things logically. It'll help you. It will help you. Mugarbe saying, I think the Raptors should run this team back next season until the trade deadline because we did not have a center all season. So running back the center we have. I love this idea, and I think it's exactly what they're going to do. Re-sign the important guys this summer, Jakob, Fred, hopefully Gary also, and run it back. And let's see what we can get with a nice start with the center at the beginning of the season. Exactly what Mr. Lennon's saying here. I agree. I'm with you on this 100%. Click saying, bro, schedule don't matter. We all play the same teams just at different times in the season. We were a 500 team because that's the way we played this year. All right, I'm going to disagree once again with you, Click. The schedule does matter. I'm sorry, it does. You get put on back-to-backs against Milwaukee on the second night of the back-to-back. That's happened to us twice this season. You start the season the way we did with a game on a Friday night in Brooklyn, and then I have to fly to Miami the very next day and play the Miami Heat on the Saturday. That mattered. There's all kinds of ways the schedule has mattered this season. There's been all kinds of fishy, fucked up ways that the schedule was set up for us this season. There were trap games laden throughout the whole entire season with this. Listen, we can disagree. We would disagree on a lot of stuff, Click, and it's fine. But yeah, the schedule does matter. And Nick Nurse brought it up himself. He's not going to use that excuse. I've never heard him complain about the schedule being a factor in how we did in the year until a couple days ago. So that's what I'm saying. It does matter. And it definitely mattered this year. And he's not the only one saying it. Fred said it too. There's other guys on this team that have said the schedule has been fucked up this year. And it's definitely contributed to possibly losing some games. Seriously. All the teams don't all have the same schedule. That's bullshit. In fact, here is a very good example. We had how many games of back-to-back games? Like we're going to have one with Charlotte and Boston still this to end this season, where we have to play them twice in a row. Well, those games are not conducive for getting both wins. Usually when you play 2-game sets, they get split. That's statistically how it is. Well, tell me this. Why is it that the New York Knicks and the Brooklyn Nets had very few of those 2-game series where we had tons of them? We had like 8 or 9 of these 2 games in a row against the same team series. The Nets had 1 the whole entire season. I'm telling you, that's fishy as fuck because you can spread out the games against teams. And the other thing is, why do we play Brooklyn so many games early in the season? We didn't see them at all near the end of the season. Or New York, same thing. It's all fishy as fuck. Seriously, Click. I look at the schedule just like I look at the refs. I scrutinize it all. And I see where the unfairness can possibly be. And I'm usually right. And I was at the beginning of the season. I looked at the schedule, and I think I even did a clip last summer analyzing the schedule and saying these are going to be the problem areas. And it'd be very interesting to go back and watch that clip from last summer and say, holy shit, Lex, you were actually very Nostradamus with predicting that these issues were going to happen with our schedule this season. Because it is very true. Like that is not fair. That the Nets had 1 2-game series against the same team, and we had like 8 or 9 of them. You tell me that. You spread them out. They can get all the wins against the teams if they get them spread out in a certain way. Well, if we have to go in there and play Miami 2 games in a row, it's usually going to be a split. And that's what I'm saying. I'm worried about this for this week too. That we're going to go to Charlotte, and we should beat them on both games. I'd love to see that. But they are more likely to win one of the games statistically, because that's the way those 2-game series work. Boston, I'll be very happy to get a split with them when we go to their building. Yeah. Nameless is saying, what a great stream this morning, Lex. Really bringing the heat. Thank you, Nameless. We're just trying to keep things real here in a positive way for the Raptors, because there's all kinds of stupid bullshit noise out there. SAS Anya is here. Good to see you. Okay, it's a Tada account. Big up to the best Raptor channel and family. Tada. Fuck the negative fans and haters. You the man, Lex, and Raptor Freaks keep standing by our great team. Also, Scotty, watch your ankles. Laugh out loud. I know this is a family member, or this is a Bradley's girls account, and they're coming in and saying, so good to see you, Anya. I hope you're doing very well and you're healthy, and you guys are just having a blast with your family, and all kinds of good things and blessings are coming towards Bradley and his family. So good to see you. MSJ saying, Bob in the Union Station bathroom. Laugh out loud. Yeah, that could be what it is. He's like, this is a really tough shit coming out of me right now. I shouldn't have ate all those burgers at the pub last night with those beers. What's this say? What? OG Anunoby's not happy in Toronto. Ooh, this is good intel. Where's it? All right, let me lift the toilet paper. Oh, wow. It says that he's not happy with his offensive role. Wow, this is a credible source. All right, I better write this down for my article in the Star tomorrow. Something like that. It's crazy. Fun guy saying, and the schedule is even worse to end the season. They lied about an easy schedule, but I think we could beat the Bucks and steal at least one from the Celtics. That's what I'm hoping for, fun guy. Seriously, if we can split with Boston, that is actually a very good accomplishment. If we could beat both of them, holy crap, that would be amazing. Just imagine the statement we would make going into Boston and beating them 2 games in a row on their home court right at the end of the season. That would be awesome. That would be such a momentum killer for them going into the postseason. And then, yeah, what if they got us after the play-in and we're playing them in the first round? Yeah, we could be real scary to them. Real scary. Line Hunter saying scheduling definitely matters. You think it's fair we had to face Brooklyn 4 times when they had KD and Irving? Exactly. Sometimes it's just timing of who's on what team and when the moves get made. And, we didn't get to play them with Jakob once this whole entire season. None of the New York or Brooklyn games had Jakob on our team because we did not have him yet because we played all the games against them. And then we played all the Washington games late in the season. We didn't see Washington at the beginning of the season. And some of that is just like timing and thinking about, well, where are they going to be with this and this point? It's crazy. Cowboy saying Union Station bathroom, laugh out loud later, Lex and Raptor Freaks. Have a great day and night. Let's go. Can't wait to see Philly players' tired faces against our defense. Let's go. Yes, let's wear them out. At times, this is one of the keys to the victory is that Philly can be lazy. And part of it has to do with Joel. That Joel is a lumbering kind of young man. And in some ways, he doesn't lumber back on defense very quickly at times. This is a place where we can take advantage. If Joel's out there and he's starting to get a little tired, well, let's jump on them and really run it back on them, back and forth, up and down the court. In fact, they have to sit Joel for periods of time when this happens because he is slowing them down and he's a liability on defense at that point. So, yeah, let's wear them out. Let's run it right down their throats in transition coming back. And hopefully Joel won't be getting back on time and we can get easy scores. So we'll have to see how that goes. Monique saying, so long, Doug Smith. Bye. Bye, Felicia. Bye, Doug Smith. Yeah, see y'all. Yeah, we got a nice place for you out in the pasture with the cow patties. Yeah, you going out there. Cool Cat saying, clutch agencies stirring up social media for negotiations. I really hope that's not what it is. If it is, Nick, tell your guys to shut the fuck up right now because it doesn't help with what's happening. I know that Nick doesn't need this noise right now. This is a distraction. And if it's coming from his own people, I would hope that he could just call them up and say, look, Rich, don't do this to me right now. I'm really trying to win with the Raptors right now. I know we got this contract coming up, but listen, I got to stay in the now, in the present. And it's not the off season for us yet. No, you guys aren't supposed to bring this stuff out until we're done. Jeez, come on, wait. It doesn't serve him. So if they're supposed to be he's there, that he's getting them their service, they should be working for him. And in some ways, Clutch is not working for him if they're doing this in this way. Does that make sense? Like if he's paying them or they're doing things to help him with his representation, he would want them to represent him in the way that he wants, right? So I don't think that this is coming from Clutch. It doesn't make any sense that it would. Nameless is saying, I like to call Fred VanVleet Fredicino, like a cappuccino, Nameless. Anything he can make Italianized, he will. He will Italianize it, and I am all about it. That's fine. Fredicino. Let's go have a nice cup of Fredicino tonight. And maybe it's a dagger 3 in the last couple of minutes of game for the Raptors to win with some Fredicino tea in the morning. There's some Fredicino. I love it. G saying, I remember reading the Raptors had the most or one of the most mini series in the league this season, and teams like the Lakers had the least. I read this a while ago, so I need to reconfirm. That media call segment, you like that? No, it was the Nets. The Nets had the very few. They had only one the whole entire season, and we had like the most. It's exactly right. And in some ways, that's not fair. Like people can point to those little 2-game series and say these aren't fair. Like if people are gonna have to do these, they should all have to do the same amount in some ways. It's really hard to make the NBA schedule fair. It is never fair. It's always going to have some fucked up shit for some team that they're going to have to go through. And there's going to be red carpets rolled out for certain teams that make it real easy for them as far as the easy travel to come into this or have this many days rest when you have to play the really tough opponents. And then this and that, they can make it a lot easier for the Celtics and the Lakers in their schedule by the way they lay out the season. In fact, in some ways, the Lakers have an advantage because half of their divisional games are played on their home court against their team that they just switched the court around. Like, think about that advantage for the Lakers and the Clippers, that they play a lot of away games at home. And in some ways, that's an unwritten little like advantage for the Lakers themselves. The Clippers also enjoy that, but nobody talks about that they share an arena and that home games are actually away games and away games are actually home games. Tom Duke saying phone is ringing. Bing, 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 bing. Randolph Phillips saying beloved Raptors freaks, most informative gangs. We're moving all up tonight with a good victory. Yes, thank you, Randolph Phillips. Always appreciate your blessings in the morning, and we appreciate you, sir. Fun game saying, I think this could be a precious game. And honestly, I get Udoka was married, but he's not a bad guy. Consensual relationships happen in many workplaces. Don't think Udoka is painted as some pain him. All right. I know we went over this a lot last summer, so I'll go over it very briefly once again. I love the fact that you're saying Precious is going to do well tonight. I think that hopefully you're right. But listen, all right. Emma Udoka and Nia Long's relationship is open. They are a married couple. Well, I don't know if they're technically married. They have children. They have children that are around 13, 10 years old, something like that. Now, they've made an agreement that they have an open marriage and that they can go see other people. That is fine. I have no problem with that. And I think that's great. If you can get that arrangement in your life, that's fantastic. I don't have any problem with that kind of lifestyle. The problem is with this, is that work is not a place to have any kind of personal relationships. I don't give a shit if it's any person in that. And I don't care if it's together and they're fine with it. It's, consensual, as you put it. I don't care. It never is when there's a person in power in that organization selecting somebody who's a subordinate. That is always wrong. We went over this, fun guy, that you can't have a work relationship with somebody who works under you. That there's just so many flaws and problems with it. You can be as consensual as anything, but it's not good. It's toxic and it can cause all kinds of problems. Now, listen, do we want that kind of stuff up here? No, we don't. I don't care if everybody's on the same page with it. And like all of a sudden they're having orgies or something like that. I don't give a shit. It's not good business and it's not smart. And that's why big corporations know this and they don't like that kind of stuff going on. And that's the problem. The problem is, okay, sure, the VP of the Celtics, his wife is getting with Emma Udoka, the coach, and he doesn't know. And then boom, all of a sudden his family's destroyed and he's upset with his wife for cuckolding him. That's what I'm saying. You just don't want this drama, this soap opera drama of all this. Sure, it may be fine with them, but I don't know if it was fine with the marriages that he was busting up on the outside other than his. So that's what I'm saying. It's just toxic. And in some ways, it's anti-women. And in some ways, it's like anti a lot of things. And that's why we don't want him. Seriously. I think that there's probably, like, you go ask Tyrese Resch what she thinks of M.A. Udoka coming and coaching the Raptors, and she may laugh at you. She may know this organization really, really well and say, yeah, this is never, ever going to happen. This is just pie in the sky thinking for people who want a quick fix at coach, and they think that M.A. Udoka will fix it. But at what detriment otherwise? That's what I'm saying. I don't care like if it's consensual or this or that. You never mix work with your relationships like this. You go ahead, have open relationship. Go have relationships with anybody who doesn't work for your basketball organization that you work for. You go have as many lovers as you want, but they can't work with you. That's so toxic. And I can't believe I have to keep telling the difference and why this matters. In some ways, this is not good. You got to understand that, fun guy. MSJ saying that nameless works for me. Sounds like pasta, though. Brings back bad Bargnani memories. Primo pasta and sauce. Who eats a huge bowl of pasta before a game? No wonder he was half asleep out there. I don't know. I like doing that. I'll make a big bowl of pasta and just load up on the carbs and burn them off on the court, an 8-hour workout. Actually, I would do crazy shit like that when I was young. Fettuccino, you're not liking the fettuccino because it reminds you of Bargnani. MSJ, you're funny, man. I love you, man. G saying, I think the Udoka thing has to do with the fact that they warned him, asked him to stop, and he didn't, even after the warnings. In fact, apparently he went and harassed the one lady that did stop their relationship. That's part of the problem. That's toxic as hell. You got to understand, seriously. Nobody, all right, Raptors fans, stop wanting Ime Udoka. We don't want him. Trust me, we do not want him. We just do not. And then boom, all right, this Nick Nurse rumor, who wants it then? Because the only good thing about it you would say is like, oh, we get Udoka. Well, we don't want him. So we don't want this rumor. And we want Doug Smith to just fuck off. That's what we want. Mike's saying, look, what's happened with the Lakers? They thought Vogel was the issue. Got Ham and hyped him up, but at the moment want him gone yesterday. It's crazy in Lakers world. And they hear names and assume the team is good. That's what I'm saying. We know Nick Nurse is a good coach. We know that he does so many good things. Is he going to be perfect all the time? No. But for the most part, he is very solid and smart and innovative and the kind of coach you want leading your team. Trust me, he is in the caliber of those guys I said before: Eric Spoelstra, Steve Kerr, Greg Popovich, Rick Carlisle. These are some of the best coaches in the NBA, and you want to have one of those kind of guys. And Nick is one of those very few kind of guys in this league. So we need to value him much more, Raptors Nation, and stop listening to old dumbasses like Doug Smith. Let's see. Jimmy saying, just internet vultures who smell blood in the water trying to stir shit up. I'm not worried. They can dream all they want. See, Jimmy, once again, laying it right. Hope of positivity. Keeping it right. It's like they smell blood. They see us getting better, and they're like, oh, we need to cause some bullshit, consternation, confusion with bullshit. And that's really what this is. The Raptors start getting going again. Why does this shit all of a sudden start happening again? Does that make sense? That there's forces out there that want to hurt us and not want us to get going in good ways, and they try and hurt us in the information war and the bullshit around it. That's what I'm saying, y'all. Don't fall for this. We've been playing really well. We kept the team together against all the bullshit smoke around the trade deadline. Well, now we're getting coach smoke right before the playoffs. This all seems very, very fishy with the timing. Think about it because of the timing. Really, seriously. And understand that's a big part of it. That people are trying to cause confusion and hurt us right when we're our strongest. And that has a lot to do with it. Fun guy saying, no, Lex, I actually agree with you that it could be fire or it could be bullshit. I'm leaning more towards bullshit. I can't get on Doug for reporting, and that it could actually be fire, hard as fans. I just, listen, he doesn't have a good track record for predicting things. Trust me. If we really actually kept track, you probably find that he misses on all kinds of stuff constantly, that he is not very good at predicting things happening with our team. And, he should just cover it after it happens. Instead of trying to speculate and say what he thinks going to happen, he should just cover it after it happens. You're in a newspaper. You're supposed to report what happened, not speculate what you think is going to happen, Doug Smith, by putting irresponsible rumors in print all over Toronto. Really, really, yeah. Fuck Dove Smith. Yeah. Mood Pies here. Go Raptors. I love to see new names. 9:30 a.m. We're here every morning talking Raptors. I hope you come back again, Mood Pie. What a cool name, Mood Pie. Yeah, if you're in bad mood, eat a good pie, and you'll be in a better mood then. The Mood Pie. Tomorrow we'll be reacting to the game tonight. Hopefully a good Raptors victory in Wells Fargo Arena tonight. Yeah, Tom Duke saying, yummy mood pie. I'd love some. I'll whip some up for the refs. Oh, well, with that cue, it is time for the referee report. Now that Tom Duke, my producer, has signaled to me, maybe you should do the ref report, Lex. We want to know who's going to be refereeing in Philadelphia tonight. Well, our head crew chief is David Guthrie. David Guthrie is not a bad crew chief for us to have. He's not one of these controversial kind of weird refs like Ben Taylor or Scott Foster. He's in his 19th season. He's from Athens, Georgia. He now lives in Charlotte, North Carolina. His favorite TV show is The West Wing. He likes that movie Shawshank Redemption. His favorite musician is Living It Up at the Hotel California. Such a lovely face, such a lovely face, such a lovely face. The Eagles. He likes the Eagles. His favorite book is The Match. His favorite app is PGA Tour. He'd most like to visit Hawaii. He'd also like to play at Augusta National. His hidden talent is hitting fungos. He's the baseball player, remember? And his meal, Tom, is a steak with whipped potatoes and broccoli. So if you can get him a nice meal of steak with a side of potatoes and broccoli, we can feed old David Guthrie, and we can have a nice crew chief tonight. David is, as I said, a former baseball player that really enjoys playing baseball. And that's why he likes hitting the fungios. Now, our record with David is quite good, guys. We had a bad record with him earlier in the season. He was a sub 500 record with us at the beginning of the season, but he's actually been winning for us a lot this season. We have a 51% winning percentage with him. Like I said, he was below before, and we won the last game that he refereed for us. And meanwhile, the Sixers win 46% of their games when he's refereeing. So it's a 51-46 split for the Raptors with the crew chief, David Guthrie, tonight, guys. So we do get favor from him statistically. The second ref is our good buddy we just saw last week, Mr. Curtis Blair. We're going to get him once again in his 16th season out of Roanoke, Virginia. His favorite TV show is Dexter. He likes that movie Grease with Olivia Newton-John and John Travolta. His favorite musician is Casey and JoJo. He'd most like to visit Brazil, and his hidden talent is tennis. He was drafted in the NBA by the Houston Rockets in 1992. And his meal is lamb curry. So Curtis Blair, yes, I believe he was refereeing. Which game was he refereeing last week? He was refereeing one of the good games we just had, not the Miami game, but he was refereeing the game we had on Sunday. Who we played Sunday? Washington. He was refereeing the Washington game. So we actually just literally had him like 2 games ago. But Curtis is awesome. Honestly, Curtis Blair is our best ref tonight. We win 62% of our games when he's refereeing. We did win the Washington game last week, so we won the last game he ref. And meanwhile, the Sixers only win 41% of their games when Curtis Blair's present. So that's a 62-41 split, favoring the Raptors with the second ref, Curtis Blair. The last ref is Ashley Moyer-Gleich. Yes, we have seen her this year a couple times. She's in her 6th season. Now, she's from Pennsylvania, Lebanon, Pennsylvania. Little fishy, and I'll tell you, she does statistically very much favor the Sixers. Her favorite TV show is Grey's Anatomy. She likes that movie Face Off with Nicolas Cage and John Travolta. That's a psycho movie. Her favorite musician is the one that sings, "So you want to be starting something, got to be starting something. Said you want to be starting something, got to be starting something. Too high to get over, too low to get under. You're stuck in the middle." That's right. Michael Jackson, her favorite book is Charlotte's Web. Her favorite app is Yelp. She most like to visit Africa. She's very good at double Dutch. She like to see the 7 wonders of the world. And her favorite meal is Spanish food. So we got steak with sides. We got a lamb curry, and we got some Spanish food on the menu for our refs. She enjoys Bikram, yoga, and swimming also, Ashley Moyer-Gleich. As I said, she's probably our worst ref tonight, but she is the third ref, at least. We win 44% of our games when she is present. We did win the last game she refed us. And meanwhile, the Sixers win 70% of their games when she's around. So she definitely favors Philadelphia. Being from Pennsylvania, 44-70 is the split with Ashley Moyer-Gleich tonight. Those are your ref crew. David Guthrie, Curtis Blair, and Ashley Moyer-Gleich are our refs for tonight in Philly. Not a very controversial ref crew. In fact, I'm really happy that we've seen Ashley and Curtis recently. So they're familiar with how the Raptors have been playing. Curtis Blair was palling around with Fred VanVleet in the last game they were hanging out. And I also saw him have a very special moment with Chris Boucher before the game on Sunday. That was the ref I was thinking came up to him and talked to him about the comments. The fan sent him the message about like the ugly message that we talked about last weekend. That, Curtis Blair is a cool dude, and he's definitely all right with the Raptors. So I have no problem with this ref crew tonight, other than Ashley's from Pennsylvania and could be a little funny in her stuff. But otherwise, it looks like a pretty good ref crew tonight. Mugarbe Lennon is saying no one wants to face the Raptors in the first round. So I don't think this top team's going to rest their star player when playing us for the rest of the season. So he's predicting that at the end of the season, when we play Milwaukee and Boston, that they're going to be bringing their full effort. In some ways, there may be some chess because, as Nick put it, we may be playing either the team we're playing tonight, the Celtics, or the Bucks in the first round if we get through the play-in. And in some ways, Nick likes to hold his cards and not always play his best hand when he's going up against teams that he may be projected to play against in the playoffs. That he hides tricks and he doesn't spring all of his bag of tricks all at once. And some people were saying, well, what are you doing, man? We're in like the thick of it and we need to win at all costs. Don't be holding your premium ace up your sleeve if we're going to need it right now to win right now. There's no guarantee for tomorrow. And I kind of get that. But also in some ways, I get why Nick does this is because he really wants to have those good cards to play later and really win it all with some sound strategy. So I don't know. We'll have to see how he plays tonight. In some ways, he was hinting yesterday that he's not going to be showing his very best stuff against Philadelphia tonight, but he will be playing a very strong game plan against them. But in some ways, he doesn't want to show them everything just in case we do get them in the first round somehow, some way. So that'll be interesting. M. Jones is here. Good to see M. Jones. It's been a little bit. Always good to see your name in here. I would love to see if Dowtin can slow down Maxey a bit. I think that he could. Hopefully, he could at least just be annoying. Maybe get in between them. Jeff's getting such shine right now. In some ways, it's so nice to feel wanted. Like Jeffrey has definitely felt wanted by Raptors Nation and just by his play. And that's the thing. You do things and you take care of things the way Jeffrey does, everything will work out for you the right way. And that is the story about Jeffrey Dowtin Jr. I really do feel like if the writing's on the wall, maybe it is Thad Young getting cut and Jeffrey Dowtin getting converted in his spot. I don't know. We'll have to see. But it really is going to be stupid if they don't convert Jeff Dowtin and he is not available for us in postseason play. It would be so dumb. In fact, I would actually probably start saying things like that may be one of Masai's worst moves. Masai and Bobby, you dropped the ball with Jeff Dowtin. And that I don't want to have to say that, guys. This is a slam dunk. You need to get this done, Bobby Webster. Because if you don't, this could be actually a place where we could point to this is a mess up, a mistake by our front office. They did not convert Jeffrey Dowtin Jr. And they better. Fun guy saying, hey, bro, I got to say, you're painting it as a woman or women are targets with Udoka. He was in a consensual relationships. He's not a predator or something. Women are not in danger, bro, or else he'd be in jail. All right. There's a couple of different ways of looking at this. He is a predator. He's a sexual predator. He looks for targets of women to go and make conquest. He's a kind of person that likes to have sexual conquests. And there's nothing wrong with that. You can go ahead and do that. But once again, fun guy, the important part of this whole thing is you can be a single man. You can be a married man in an open marriage and go out and have sexual conquests and go out and want to meet women and have sex with them. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying that that's wrong. What I'm saying is wrong is when you add it to work. That's when it's wrong. And once again, the head coach of a team in an organization has power. They're a boss in some ways. And when you have sexual relations with support staff or people that are in the organization that may be kind of subordinate to you, that is always wrong. We went over this ad nauseum last year. I thought I taught you this already, fun guy, that there's a difference between your personal life and your professional life. And he's putting his personal life in his professional life. And that's where the problem is. It's not about this. And yes, he is a predator because he has a track record of doing this everywhere he went. He did it in San Antonio when he was assistant down there. He makes conquests. And that's the thing. You go ahead and have conquests, but they should not be employed by the same company that you work for. And that is the biggest problem with this. That's toxic and it's fucked up. It's bad corporate kind of behavior is what I'm saying. And that's why the Celtics had to do what they did with him. is they had to get rid of him. And like Mike said and G said, they warned him not to do this. And he got all alpha and saying, well, I do what I want. And he went and did it some more against the Celtics saying not to do this. So he's obviously showing that he can't keep it in his pants. And that's why they had to suspend him and kick him out, because he wasn't even listening to them after they warned him not to do it. So, yeah, I'm sorry. You may look at it in a whole other perspective than me. I'm not about saying don't play your game, play it, and get out there and get what you want. But you can't do it in your professional environment. That is the biggest difference. And I hope you understand what I'm trying to get across to you, fun guy, is in your own life. If you go to work, you should not be trying to sleep with your coworker. Trust me, is not good policy. It's not good in any kind of way, especially if you're a manager or you're somebody who runs a bar. This is a horrible problem in downtown Toronto. With these fucking managers, sleaze balls, they get new hot little bartenders that come in and they use their power of making the schedule or having, you want good shifts, baby? Yeah, well, BJ after work, baby. You know, that's what it is right there, bro. You can't see where there's a problem with that? Can you see where there's a problem with that? Like with what I just described about club culture here in Toronto, downtown? You don't understand how many of these young women get it and they say, I want to be a cocktail waitress. I want to go to Toronto and work in the big city and make tips and work at the bars at night. Well, do you know how many lecherous, ugly, gross old men that are managers saying, yeah, you need to give me favors, baby, to get what you want? Well, how you can apply that to a basketball team? Just it happens in clubs all the time here in Toronto. Well, it can happen in a basketball team, and it did. And he has a pattern of it. All right, enough Udoka stuff. I hope that I'm getting across my point. Because seriously, if you don't understand it, fun guy, you may need to do some reassessing in your own life. Like, you're not trying to sleep with your coworkers, are you? Because you know that will be a pitfall of folly. It really will. Jimmy's saying the league is so soft nowadays. Saw Brook Lopez shoulder bump Tatum before the game. Tatum laughed all buddy with him. Nah, that wouldn't fly. No smiles for that. You know, in some ways, the guys are too chummy between teams. And I like Fred's attitude. It's like, I hate the other team. I'm not trying to be friends with everybody else in the NBA. You know, some people I respect and really like, you know, for different reasons. But for the most part, I want to kill you. I'm not trying to be your friend on everybody's team. And I agree with this. You know, this is Vince Carter. One of his biggest flaws as a player in this league was he's a friend to everybody. And he didn't have a competitive spirit against other teams in certain ways because he was too chummy with everybody else. And I agree with this. Like, this is the thing. Magic, Bird, they didn't like each other. They hated each other. It wasn't until later that they became friends. You know, the teams hated each other back in the day. Magic didn't want to talk to the other teams. You know, people had problems with each other for real. Like, they didn't get along outside the game. They showed up the games, the Pistons, the Bulls hated each other. So it's like, it's a totally different kind of league where you know, in some ways the players union and like the bonds between like coming up together and like AAU or in high school or different places that you play each other all the time, you become buddies. Like Scotty has all these friends like Jalen Green and Cade Cunningham. I understand, but there's lines where you like, this is my team. And like my friendship with my team and my guys are my team. And it's not necessarily I want to be buddies with Jason Tatum or anything like that. You know, that there's a lot of that problem in this league. And you call it soft. And I agree. Like Charles Barkley would probably agree with you too and say, yeah, I hate how everybody's so chummy with each other after games. We want to kill each other back in the old NBA. Mike is saying reporters and YouTubers play. Hang on, it jumped. Reporters and YouTubers play. Hang on. Play on people's insecurities and emotionally charged articles as are a catnip. But info plants are happening with people with agendas. I take the raw words from Masai, etc. more. Yeah, this is my whole philosophy on this. I'm not going to believe what somebody else is saying about OG. I'm not going to believe what somebody else is saying about Masai and what he thinks. I'm going to listen to them directly from their mouth and watch all the interviews because it's the best to just get it from the source. There's no filtering. There's no like add-on or any kind of like trying to like put an angle on what they said or taken out of context comment. You know, that's the best way to do it. And Mike's exactly right. In some ways, maybe Doug Smith hasn't been getting enough attention recently. And the Toronto Star may be like, Doug, you're not getting as much engagement with the readers as we'd like. Could you do something about that? Oh, I know what to do. I'm going to infuriate a bunch of the Raptors fan nation, and they're going to click on this because they're going to come and see, and they're going to want to see what I'm saying, and I'm going to get a whole bunch of traffic because of that. In some ways, that could be part of the reason why Doug Smith did what he did yesterday. Maybe his numbers are down and the Toronto Star is on his ass to get more engagement. And he's like, okay, well, then let me just take the rumor that's so stupid this week and I'll put it on more blast, and more people will come and click on it out of anger or like interest of like, what is this bullshit? That could be a big part of what happened with Doug Smith putting that on the paper yesterday. Let's see. Blackhawk saying Doug is worse than wrong. He's out of touch. That's right. He's irresponsible too. In a lot of ways, it's irresponsible because this Nick Nurse has children and like he's like trying to just live his life. That's kind of bullshit. Random Gamer saying, I gotta go. I should really start paying attention while in class. That's the reason why we don't see Random Gamer very often, is because he's in school and very much in the middle of his first year in university. Let's see. I'll see y'all later. May the best team win tonight, and please, no injuries. I'm with you that, listen, we can take a little like between team prayer saying nobody gets hurt tonight. I'm not going to do it straight up because last year it went really badly when I did it, but we like that sentiment. And in some ways, the fellowship of sports, even if we're not totally friends and we want to kill each other outside the sport, it's still important to connect and have that gentleman's like game as far as like, we don't want anybody to get hurt. May the best team win and just have a good game. And that I love that we get to that connection with Philadelphia fans on this channel often, and especially with Random Gamer. You have a good day at class and do really well. I'm sure you've been kicking butt this whole year in your studies, and we want the best for you in your class. This is the thing. This has nothing to do with sports. This has nothing to do with him being a Sixers fan and me being a Raptors fan. I want good things for that young man in his first year in university, Random Gamer. And it has nothing to do with Philadelphia versus Toronto. That's right. Kareem Thomas is saying, if Freddie wants that big money contract, he has to shut down Maxey. Enough said. Ooh, that's a good job. It's like, Freddie, you want that money this summer? Can you show us that you actually can shut down Maxey? And that if you were in perfect health last season when we played them in the first round, that you would, this is the difference. I mean, in some ways, maybe Freddie does like this opportunity tonight because he's feeling real good. His body is feeling better. His knee's not all messed up from hitting it on the floor at New Orleans Pelicans last season. He's in good shape this time. So maybe we will see a totally different outcome with Freddie and how he deals with Maxey this year, because he's actually got both wheels running all right instead of being on one wheel running kind of bad last year. So this could be very interesting. I like that. Let's put that carrot out in front of him, Kareem Thomas. I'm with you on that. You go stop Maxey, you get more money, Fred. M. Jones is saying, honestly think Canadian sports media naturally wants nothing to do with basketball. If it was up to them, because it's a hockey town. So to them, they're just going through the motions and just working. Well, Doug Smith even admitted this. Like in his book, he said, when I started reporting on the Raptors, nobody else wanted to take the job. It's almost like I took the job just as default because nobody else wanted to do it. Everybody who was in sports media in the mid 90s when the Raptors started were all wanting to cover hockey. Like none of them got into sports media in Canada to cover the basketball. So it's like it makes people like Paul Jones, Eric Smith, Leo Routens, and Doug Smith important because they were from the very beginning. But in some ways, Doug let it be known that that wasn't maybe necessarily his first choice either. But he got it and he went with it. And now he is where he is today. And in some ways, I think he begrudgingly took the job to cover the NBA and the Raptors, and not totally wholeheartedly. And I think that that's shown throughout with his work through the years. In some ways, he's not as passionate about covering the Raptors as he should be. And in some ways, he needs to go fuck off. And I think you're right, M. Jones, that in general, the sports media here all wants to cover hockey, and that it's a second thought, and that even the corporates in the charge of all the sports media in Canada very much are trying to downplay and hurt basketball all the time. Whether it's putting us on TSN4, where you have to have some sort of crazy ass package on your cable just to see the Raptors game, or it's like making up bullshit rumors like Doug Smith did yesterday, or anything like that. They've always put us as second class citizens as a sport in this country. And I understand hockey is a part of the cultural fabric of of Canada, but in a lot of ways, basketball is a very important cultural sport to Canada also. And you may not like that, traditionalists and hockey people, but get fucking used to it. In some ways, the Raptors are more popular than the Leafs. And you hate that. And that's part of it. And you may have people like Doug Smith on the down low trying to hold down basketball in certain ways, but you can't, because basketball is just very popular. It's very fun. It's exciting. People love it. And people are getting more and more into it. And in some ways, it's growing, while hockey is not. In some ways, hockey is not growing. And basketball very much is. And that's a threat. That's a threat to the status quo of Canada and society here. And Doug Smith may be part of that, like gatekeeping and trying to keep things the way they were with hockey. Well, you can't. This runaway train started with Vince Carter, and y'all can't fucking stop it. Basketball is becoming bigger and bigger in Canada. Just get used to it and embrace it. And stop being old racist ass traditionalists, you fucking hockey people, you fuckheads. Let's see. Blackhawks saying need Hawks to beat the Nets because 6th seed is still viable. Raptors need to out hustle the Sixers. Hawks can lose on their remaining games. Miami will continue to fall. So Blackhawk, interesting strategy. Blackhawk wants the Hawks to win tonight, even if it means we are still behind them, because he thinks that we can knock the Nets down further and possibly, rise up further in the standings if the Hawks can help us tonight. That's risky, but I kind of like the way you're thinking, Blackhawk. You're saying get them to win tonight to hurt the Nets so they come down a little lower, and then the Hawks can lose more of their other games. Then it'll all even out and work out. I don't want to see this, like where we lose to Philly and the Hawks win tonight. That's going to be bad, and that's going to be tough because that's more ground to make up. In some ways, we're right next to them, and we really want to overtake them at this point. We don't want to go below 500. We've gotten to 500 finally, and that's a tough accomplishment. We need to keep going. And I'm more likely to want the Nets to win tonight, seriously, because in some ways I want us to get ahead of the Hawks and clear them and then keep above them, keep that head above water. And we'll have to see how it goes. Fun guy saying, very true, but I promise no reporter is playing with my mind or insecurities. I'm big enough fan and man to construct my own perspective. In fact, reporters always are late to me. Shit, I've been on long. All right. It's all good, fun guy. Listen, I want to respect you as a person and your own right to free thinking and everything like that. I know you're a very smart guy and stuff like that. I didn't mean to besmirch you or insult you with anything I've said. It's not that I think you're falling for it or anything. It's just that you want to look at it critically in your own way and suss it out your own process. And there's nothing wrong with that. If there's stuff that I've been able to say today that could help sway you a little bit more to some of the stuff we're saying, that's great. But everybody should be able to have their own opinion and to be able to stand on it regardless. This isn't a thing where I'm like, y'all need to all line up and just say yes with what I say. We can all have very different opinions, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I really do want to allow that space for everybody here, even if it doesn't seem like it. There's one thing, we do want to all be positive for the team, but that's the one thing that's really important. G saying, do we think Gary is playing tonight? I don't know. It could be possible. In some ways, I don't necessarily want him back right now. And maybe we hold him out one more game, because in some ways we're clicking in such a weird way with this rotation and the guys that played in the last game really well that I don't necessarily want to make room for him to get his minutes right now and take it away from some of the other guys like Jeffrey Dowtin, who's played recently. So I don't know. In some ways, I'm okay with Gary playing or not playing. I could see where he could hurt us if he plays, because he may be out of rhythm and we waste minutes on him getting readjusted to being back in the lineup. So in some ways, I'd rather wait one more game and have him show up for the first Charlotte game and start getting back into his rhythm against a team that may be a little safer to do that against. So I don't know. Right now, it's still showing that he is questionable tonight. There's no real update just while we've been on the stream. So Mike's saying, fun guy. I'm just speaking in general now. I talk about a person if it's directed at someone specifically, or if all right, Mike, don't even worry about it. And we're not going to make a thing between you two guys. I'm sure he knows that you're not trying to just point him out specifically. It's all good. Monique is saying, gee, Nurse said he's still out. Okay, yeah. Yeah, he did say he was still out. Leslie's here. Good to see Leslie Hart. Hey, fam. OG has never looked happier. Nick Nurse is not going anywhere. The league just wants everyone from our team. Masai doesn't want drama in Toronto, so no Udoka. Yeah, I love that comment from Leslie, and I hope you're having a fantastic Friday, and we all have a good day, and we see a good Raptors W tonight. Blackhawks saying Emma Udoka is not married to Nia Long. Emma is Nia's baby daddy. Sheesh. Emma is not coming to the Raptors. White noise for all the radio heads. This is just a basketball soap opera. Yeah. I think this is a pretty astute, exactly pretty right there. Yeah, they're not technically married, but they do have children together. And they do kind of live in the same house and have all that stuff. And they're still together. It's not like they broke up after all this controversy. I'm pretty sure they're still together. Like, people get mad about this because they love her so much. She's such an icon in film, and she's a sweetheart. So people got really mad about this, not realizing their lifestyle and that she was okay with what was happening. But yeah, I think this is good reality check by Blackhawk here. He's not coming here. It doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't. It doesn't go along with our corporate mentality of how we celebrate women in our organization and have them in very important roles. M. Jones is saying, I agree with you, Lex. The same reason Udoka got fired is the same reason he's not yet hired, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, listen, it's not listen, I know about addiction. I'm an alcoholic. And in some ways, impulse control is not easy to totally master. And it sounds like in some ways, he has an impulse control problem that he may not be able to totally control. That in some ways, he may have a blind spot to understanding all this. I'm sure he's had rehab and talked to about this in some ways, but who knows where he's at with it. It could very well be look, I'm just living my life. I just want to do what I want to do. But I don't know. We don't know. We can only speculate. But that's what I'm saying is that it's about impulse control. He'd have somebody just around him that's flirty, and boom, he can't handle him. He can't stop if he wanted to. That's what I'm saying. It's just like an alcoholic can't stop drinking. In some ways, maybe he has that kind of problem with this issue too. That this is something. Some people say sex addiction is a bullshit thing. It's not a real thing. Well, impulse control is a real thing, and does have something to do with having the impulse to have sex, even if it's not good for you. You could destroy your life, because in some ways, him having sex with the VP of player personnel or somebody in the Celtics organization was very much a bad thing to do and a red flag. But in that moment, could he stop himself, or could he think clearly and say, "Oh, I don't need to do this. This is going to cause serious problems for me"? Maybe not. Maybe he couldn't because he had impulse control issues, is what I'm trying to say. Let's see. Mike's saying, fun guy, I know your point was Doug Smith is part of that smoke, but he's not right. Not that he's right necessarily. It's just a trend you're seeing. And I agree, there's a trend, but I believe different things are the cause. Well, here's the funny thing about the timeline with this rumor is we saw it earlier this week, and we talked about it on this channel extensively already. And we kind of sussed it out logically to think about it. Well, I saw where I saw it, and it's just like a bullshit place on Twitter that is it didn't have any credibility in where it came from in the first place to me. Well, why would Doug Smith, somebody who's works for a press, for a newspaper, go and find this rumor and want to purport it even further? I'm like, why? I mean, I could tell where the source was from was not that reputable or make that much sense, but he jumped on it and doubled down on it and made it his own and pushed it on his own column. And that's the weird thing is he's taking somebody's bullshit rumor from nowhere, from Twitter, and he's putting it in print and legitimizing it. And in some ways, that's really fucking irresponsible and messed up. Doug, are you just going to go on Twitter and read whatever the fuck you feel like, oh, this is great, I'll run with this. This will get engagement, like this Toronto Star wants me to get more likes and clicks and things like that. I'll just fucking put this out. And that'll get this hornet's nest of the fans and Raptors Nation stirred up and engaging with my content. That could be a big part of it right there. I'm telling you. I'm telling you that could be a big part of it. Monique's saying, Lex, will we see a playoff preview in a few days? Well, I want to get through the season first. So until we get to Easter Sunday and we finish up that game with Milwaukee on that Sunday, and I do a review reaction to it on the Monday, the day after, then that week, yeah, we're going to start figuring out stuff. There'll be a trivia game on that Tuesday. There'll be a Wednesday wild card. There'll be a Thursday think tank the week before the playoffs. And that think tank will probably be a lot of where we talk about what you're talking about with the playoff preview, Monique, for sure. There will be a little bit of off-season schedule in between the regular season and the playoffs. But we'll have to see when we play our play-in. So it may be not a whole lot. And maybe we go right into a play-in situation because they happen like kind of in between when the playoffs start that week. So we'll have to see how it all lays out with the scheduling, and we'll see how I do it. Seymour saying, I got a sedation dental. You're getting sedated? Dental appointment today. Got to clean the teeth out after the last 3 games. We're going at it good next 5 games. Let's get these wins. 2023 champions. All right, Seymour, be okay and be safe getting under sedation for a teeth cleaning today. All right. Well, if you're maybe a little loopy or having fun, stuff like that, yeah, that's all good. Maybe a little having fun today. MSJ saying there was no power balance there. Wife of the VP was down. It wasn't anti-woman. What John Tory did, that was what you talk on. But Udoka is toxic, up to way more than the VP's wife. That's what I'm saying. The VP's wife, there was also a woman on the support staff that was actually traveling with the team that was one of the equipment managers that he was sleeping with also. There were multiple women within the organization that he was just like, yeah, you're mine, you're mine, you're mine, and doing all this crazy stuff. That is not good for the running the organization or running a corporate environment. And the Raptors organization is smart enough to know that and stay way far away from it. Trust me. Jimmy's saying, I want us to really go at them tonight and set that physical tempo. The 3 is a cherry on top. We're bigger and stronger than them. Let's show them how we've leveled up with Jakob. Woo, big dubs, baby. I love this too. Now, in some ways, with Embiid out there, we may need to mix it up. Like, I kind of want the Raptors to do mid-range. In some ways, we need to establish down low first, even with Embiid out there. Like, if we can fool him or trick him to one side of the court and attack from the weak side away from him, that would be good. We need to get high percentage shots to start the game and get off to the right foot. I don't like them coming out there and just shooting threes to start the game. That's not the best way to do it, unless it's OG and he's on, unless it's Gary and he's on, unless it's Pascal and he's on. But otherwise, I'd much rather them try and go down low and break the seal open the game, getting a higher percentage shot. Now, with Embiid around, that's a little tougher to figure out. But I'm sure they'll have schemes and ways of neutralizing him and getting around him to hopefully get to the basket. So we'll have to see how they do it. Tom's saying 100%. Yep, Jimmy. 48 minutes. No letting up. Defense. Yeah, chant it at your house, Tom, for sure. Duke saying yesterday's press with Nurse, he was asked something about the Raptors' struggles all season. Nick Nurse said he believes their record should be better than it is, for sure. For sure. There's some games we wish we could change the last couple seconds. That Atlanta game with AJ Griffin, oh my God. If we could just change that single game right now, it would help us so much right now in the situation we're in. Oh my gosh, woulda, coulda, shoulda is in full effect for all kinds of things that happened this season that could have gone other ways, and we would have such a better record right now. We really, really would. Monique is saying, did you see the report on Kyle? Miami didn't see injured Kyle this way, and they wanted all-star Kyle. I saw this report yesterday, and it just made me chuckle. I mean, come on. Miami Heat, this is a dumb thing to get upset about right now. In fact, this is your fan nation making this stuff up right now. Y'all knew what you were doing. Come on, you're a class organization. That's Pat Riley. That is all Eric Spoelstra. You guys are supposed to be able to watch basketball and see what is going on with people. You couldn't watch Kyle Lowry the last couple of years he was with Toronto and understand who he was and what you were getting yourself into. I'm sorry, bro. All sales are final. You didn't come and make this deal with us, Miami, and you didn't do your due diligence to understand where Kyle Lowry is and what his age is or anything like that. That's on you, man. I'm sorry. That's on you. And listen, I knew we won that deal right away. When I saw Precious Achiuwa involved in that deal, I didn't give a shit about Goran Dragic. I thought that was the stupidest fucking deal in the world. And y'all thought it was funny when he came here. He didn't do jack shit for us. And then we got Precious and developed the shit out of him. You weren't so funny then, was it? Yeah. And then was it funny? You're like, oh, we got Kyle Lowry. Maybe we can get Dragic back too at the same time. Well, you got Kyle Lowry, and you got Kyle Lowry at this stage in his career. You should have known that. You know, you can't go back. This is what, 2 years now. 2 years you've had him, and now you're coming to this conclusion. Y'all are stupid. Like, honestly, I'm at the point where it's like I have no faith in the Miami Heat organization and what they're trying to do down there. They are totally mismanaged, and they're idiots. And if you're coming around at this point saying stuff about Kyle and like this and buyer's remorse, yeah, you're dumbasses. You just didn't pay attention to him the last couple of years and how we were using him in Tampa season. You dumbasses, you get what you deserve. Logical saying, I was checking the team stats yesterday. Nick is right. Opponents' points to our points is a positive ratio, similar to the higher teams in the seeds. Checked, we crushed. The 10-point win-loss, the 3-point win-loss was bad. It's been a tough year. It's ups and downs. Duke Rocks is saying, Nurse paused, but I got the feeling he wanted to say the Raps hardly ever get a friendly whistle. Didn't want to get fined. Yeah, there's a lot of factors to the season. Nick wanted to go into all the different reasons why the Raptors have had a struggling season, but he can't talk about all of them. And the referees were definitely one of the factors. In certain games, you can't tell me Scott Foster didn't rob us in Denver. You know he did. You know he did. Anybody can say, oh, you can't blame the refs for things. Well, I blame the refs for Denver game. You can't see that very directly the referees decided that game for Denver. Well, I don't know what to tell you as far as opening your eyes even wider to see it. Tom Duke has got the food out for the refs. He's got the steak, the potato, and the broccoli for Mr. David Guthrie. He's got the spicy lamb curry for our good friend Curtis Blair, one of our favorite refs. And then there's for Ashley. She's got looks like this pasta. So she wanted Spanish food. You're giving her Italian food. That's fine. That's fine. You're just doing what Nameless would do. Give her the Italian food. Buongiorno, Ashley Moyer-Gleich. You do not get the Spanish food. You get the Italian food. Kareem saying, can we stop with Udoka? He's a product of the environment, is the same as Missoula. Brad Stevens installed his fingerprints on the Celtics and is now puppeteering from up top now. Yeah, I mean, we don't know the full details or anything, but I'm just saying there's no reason to want this guy up here. Trust me. And he's not coming here. Any Raptor fan that's thirsty to get Udoka as our coach instead of Nick Nurse, hold your breath and just realize that's not realistic. Duke's saying 76ers are coming off a West Coast trip. Hopefully they're feeling the travel effects versus the Raptors. Yeah, they did actually have one game already against the Mavs at home. So we're not getting the first game back from that road trip, unfortunately. And they did win that game against Kyrie and Luka a couple nights ago. So we're actually the second game back. But hopefully that won't matter. And we're on 2 days rest. That's another thing. Hopefully that will help us tonight, being on 2 days rest. Any of these lingering injuries and some of the injuries we've had, maybe some of these guys will be healthy and they'll be able to suit up. Gary in particular, who knows? Joe Weezy, Delano, hey, who knows? Infamous is saying, where was the accountability on the woman's part? She was married. He wasn't. He is not a sexual predator. It's dangerous to put out that narrative. We don't know the whole story. I don't think it's dangerous because he actually has a track record. This is known that he has a pattern. This is the problem. If it's within your work and you have a place of power in your occupation, that is a predator. I'm sorry. He's grooming and he's finding people around him that work underneath him, and then he's putting pressure on them to have sex with him. And like we said, they ended it with him this summer, one of the people, and he would not stop bothering them. So he is at fault. You guys can act like he's just an ordinary guy that's just trying to get his dick wet. But that's not what this is, y'all. This is something more than this. And you can say, like, whoa, this is dangerous to put out this narrative. Well, the dude did this shit. And honestly, if he did it in the right way and it didn't come out and it wasn't toxic, you think the Celtics would have just kept him as their coach? You think they wanted to fire him and go through all this bullshit with him? No, he was a problem. And he is dangerous for this. Listen, accountability for the woman works under him. Can she say no with a clear conscience without having feel like there may be ramifications against her if she said no to him? Then no, this is not consensual. I'm sorry. In power structures and corporate structures, it's never consensual when somebody has a higher pay bracket and a higher position and they're having sex with somebody below them. I cannot understand why I have to keep explaining this lesson to you guys. I had to do it last summer, and I'm doing it again right now since his name's come up again this week. That listen, it's never right to have a workplace relationship with somebody who's your subordinate. And that is always wrong, y'all. I don't care. If you're doing it in your own life, stop. Because that person that you married, having sex with them, they probably may not really want to, but they're doing it because they want to keep their job. Can you look at it that from that way? That's what I'm saying. And like I said, he didn't just do this in Boston. He did it in San Antonio also. There's a track record of this. This is not a one isolated incident. He's doing this. He's grooming women around him to be his sexual partners. And that is, they don't have, I'm not saying it's consensual because they may not have a choice to say yes or no. They may think that they get fired if they don't have sex with him. Can I spell this out any more clear? Why he's wrong? And you guys cannot keep standing up for him and just saying, oh, he's just a guy who wants to have sex with people and it's consensual. It is wrong. Every which way it's wrong. And I can't believe I have to spell it out so much to you guys. Kareem saying, I grieve, Infamous. These narratives can be disgusting. My wife is a sexual predator. That's why I asked her to marry me. That's awesome. Go ahead. Once again, guys, you have your own personal lives. You can do things in your personal lives. That's fine. But when you bring it into a corporate place with shareholders, people that have vested interests in the team winning and all this kind of stuff, you make it really fucked up and toxic and wrong. I cannot understate the line of professional and private and personal is important. That's what I'm talking about. Go ahead, have as many girlfriends as you want. Go out and have sex with a different girl in every single city you go to in the NBA. But they better be groupies that aren't on the payroll with you on your payroll. Can you guys understand the difference? Am I getting across? That's his job, his workplace. You work at McDonald's, you're the shift manager, and you have some young lady who's hot who comes in and starts working the register, and she wants better shifts. And you say, yeah, give me a blowjob after work, and then I'll give you better shifts. Do you understand what I'm talking about? Do you understand what I'm talking about? I don't think you do. Blackhawk saying, I want Precious to embody Embiid, to body Embiid as many times as possible. I'm all about that. I want to see all of them giving him a hard time. I want to see frustration on the Sixers' faces tonight. Yeah. Sue saying, good morning, everyone. Let's show the Sixers tonight. We got this, freaks. You go, Sue. Play it again, Sue. Her music reaction channel on YouTube. Check it out. Look it up. Play it again, Sue. Always watching cool videos and talking about music. Stuff I like to talk about, for sure. Leslie saying, Lex, do you think that maybe Canadian sports media realize that things are changing and basketball is growing rapidly? I think basketball is more accessible to kids. Hockey isn't. This is so true. In some ways, there's much more good basketball prospects coming up in Canada than hockey prospects. That the hockey prospects are still there and it's still important and stuff. But in some ways, the growth of the chunk of the pie in sports in Canada is becoming more basketball. And that does scare the status quo. That does scare people that make money off hockey. That does scare the establishment in some ways of sports media in the way things have been forever. And this is totally true, Leslie. You can read between the lines and understand this is going on. Nobody is saying it outright. Nobody will put it out on blast than me in some ways because I understand this a little bit better. Because in some ways, I don't have the allegiance to hockey that some people do. I mean, it's a great sport, and I understand its importance in the culture of Canada, and it is important. But in some ways, it is intimidated, and it is a little worried about its brother basketball and what it's doing. Mike saying, Leslie, facts. With the economy and things, it's easier to get a kid prepared for basketball with more basketball courts that can be a great outlet for working class families. Yeah. It's much cheaper. You know, in hockey, you grow up and you're changing your body and you have to keep buying all the hockey pads and equipment as your kid gets older and bigger. So it's not like you buy the pads once. and they're good for the whole rest of the time, you have to continually get different size pads because the kids are actually growing. Well, in basketball, you just got to get new shoes as the feet grow. Otherwise, it's fine. It's like that's part of the problem there too. They made it such an expensive racket having all the hockey equipment involved. It's great for the hockey people that make the equipment and make the money because they all have to buy so much. But in some ways, it's not good for the sport and ingratiating more and more people from all walks of life to walk into it and play it. Hockey has all kinds of problems in certain ways. They're not just these problems. It has problems with certain issues otherwise too. Let's see. Kareem saying, as a couch potato coach, I would want Precious and Jakob on the floor at the same time as Embiid. Jakob could body him on defense, and Precious will make him tired as a slasher. Let's tire out Joel. Let's tire Joel out. This is part of how we do things. Like we couldn't play him one-on-one straight up last year in the playoffs. So we did a lot of like running two guys at him and the second body. And they talked about that yesterday in the practice interviews, sending second bodies to him, that you don't just want to have like one guy playing him straight up. That's really difficult to do. So you're going to definitely want somebody coming in attacking to really irritate him and make it really hard on him. One of the things we do really well is crowd Sixers players very much and make them make bad mistakes and turn the ball over. And that's what we need to do a lot of, trapping, and just make it really hard for them to get out of certain traps. We set the trap a certain way and really irritate them and bug them. And then all of a sudden they're either timing out or they can't throw it anywhere or we're stealing the ball. And that's the kind of stuff we want to do tonight, definitely. And the crowd Embiid, send two guys at him because we're going to have to double team him. If he gets the ball down low in certain ways, we're going to definitely have to have a kind of a wall. It's like we'll have one guy meet him here, and then one guy comes and meets him on the side, and then he's not turning in the natural way that he has the highest percentage of making the shot. We may make him have to turn in the opposite way where he doesn't make the shot as much. We're really going to be playing those kind of percentages and kind of funneling him towards places where he's more likely to miss than make it. We don't want him to get to his spots that he enjoys, is basically what I'm saying. Blackhawks saying we are not a true 500 team until we get 42 wins. Tight race between the Hawks, Nets, and Raptors works in the Raptors' favor because all the pressure is on the Nets and the Hawks. We must beat the Sixers. I wish there wasn't pressure on us, but in some ways there is. Our record hopefully will be 500 at the end of the year, but we kind of in some ways have the toughest remaining schedule. And that's scary to me in some ways. I don't want to think that we have pressure, but I think we all have pressure. All these teams do in a lot of ways. Fun guy saying, I want to be clear on this. I also very much hate Doug Smith, like a lot of years now, but I've been less on Twitter, so I've forgotten about him. You go, fun guy. You're awesome, man. You're awesome. Whatever. If I don't have to talk about Doug Smith, Udoka, or any of this stuff ever again for a while, that would be fantastic. I stopped following Doug online just because he just, at some point this season, he just pissed me off too much. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not following you anymore. Monique saying, W stream Lex, let's go Raptors. Always keep at it despite the disagreement at times. Let's keep climbing togetherness at all times. Let's turn off the Sixers water, all of them, period. Let's go. Yes, Monique. OG Plumbing Company, get out there and cut that water off on James and Joel, and let's just get some good things happening for the Raptors tonight in the game. Also, Monique is saying other guys than Chris Boucher need to step up on this entire road trip, not just one game, all of them. Yeah, we need a good bench tonight. We need good bench production to flesh things out and help our starters. Fun guy saying, you're the man for quitting, bro. I myself haven't smoked in days after 15 years. It's going to be a tough journey. I quit smoking cigarettes a couple years ago. So that's tough. Monique is saying, I enjoy your rants, Lex, on these dummies. You go, Monique. Well, I'm glad you enjoy them. I really do. In fact, you know what? If I know I'm doing things right, if Monique agrees with me, because deep down inside, the one person that I know cares about this team and loves this team and wants just good things for them is Monique. So if I am lining up with her and her opinions and how she feels about things, then I know I'm on the right track because her heart is pure with the love for the Toronto Raptors organization. And I know that if I'm on Monique's side, I'm on the right side. Mike saying big facts, Lex. Every couple of years, another $1 or $2 grand on equipment that fits properly, because on the dangers of hockey and contact nature, you have to get critical equipment too, net guards, etc. It's a lot of stuff, and you grow. You're a kid. You're gonna grow out of it, and you're gonna have to get the next. And if you have brothers, you probably pass it down from each other, and then that's easier in some ways. You have a lot of kids, you're getting hand-me-down equipment for sure. Fun guy saying, whoa, we don't know if it's a matter of yes or no. Women can be attracted to you and initiated a relationship, or you could be right. Got to take it easy, man, and not assume that he went for them as their boss. Well, once again, I'm going to say it. If it was an isolated incident where there was one Jezebel or one lady that was so attractive and she's like, oh, you're so handsome, MA, I have to be with you, that would be okay. I understand what you're saying if you're describing that, but that's not what this is. There's so many of them that he's the common denominator. It's not like are these women? Listen, it doesn't make any sense. Once again, professional lives, private lives, keep them separated. And that's all you need to say about this. That there's corporate policies. Like, he may have signed something when he came on as the coach and as part of his contract. You cannot have sexual relations with people that are in our corporation. In fact, I'll bet you the team that signs him, if he does come back to the NBA, will make him sign this shit. Once again, I don't want y'all to think I'm a hater of the game. Don't hate the player, is what you would say. That's not what this is. I'm all for sexual liberation and having multiple partners and doing whatever and all that kind of stuff. You live your life and your private lives and do it the way you want to. But in this case, this is what I keep trying to tell y'all. This is a company. This is a corporation. This is the Boston Celtics. And when you have a relationship with somebody else in your company, that's never good. Trust me. And especially when you're a person in power in the organization and the people that you're having it with may be people that work underneath you. It's never, ever good. There's no consensual to that. I'm sorry. There just isn't. All right. Anyway, let's do the real mascot matchup. The last time we saw the Raptor, he's getting chased by the police. In fact, if he was on Grand Theft Auto, he would have like 5 stars or at least a couple of stars behind him. Police are after him. There's a manhunt or a Raptor hunt. And Officer Foster is out to get him. And, well, Will the Wizard did a pretty good job of distracting the cops and holding them up with the yak. And but he gave him a good lead, and he's running. He's taking off down the street. He is just trying to get the hell out of there, but the heat is on him, and the heat is chasing him. But, well, in some ways, the Raptor is handling the heat very well. In fact, he learned some things from watching movies like The Fugitive and other movies where people are in trouble and the police are after him. He runs into the woods, and he finds a creek. And he goes in the water and gets in the water to get his scent off, in case they have any dogs. And then he kind of does some juking around in the woods and does some back walking with his footprints so they can't find him. And he actually kind of loses them. Like, he loses the heat. He beats the heat, gets them away from him. So he's kind of in good shape. He's kind of feeling like he's in a good place. But he knows that he needs to be safe. In fact, he's gone through the woods. He's finally at the edge of a small town. But he has to remember there's an APB out there, a bolo for a Raptor, and the police are looking for him, that he's a wanted man now. So now when he's walking into the city, he has to really watch his 6. That's right, his behind him. He has to be looking all around him and just careful, because in some ways he can't really hide. He's a Raptor, and he's very different looking than anybody else around him. So he's got to kind of put his coat up and kind of have his hat down and kind of make himself unassuming. But he's definitely watching his 6. That's right, while he's walking in this town. Will he be safe? And will he continue to not get in trouble with the law and stay free? Or will they round him up or find him? He's got to keep looking over his shoulder. His 6. That's right. We'll find out next time on the real mascot matchup if he'll be all right walking around in this small town with the police after him, and he has to look over his 6. You get it? There you go. All right, there you go. That's my real mascot matchup for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Mike saying, W stream, Lex, they don't mess with guys' wives in the mafia and the Raptors. It's bad business, creates issue long term, and having a family grow together. Yeah, Like, seriously, listen, you can admire him for being a Lothario, a Casanova, and getting in there and getting all these conquests. Sure, but it's really, really bad. And we would never, ever want that kind of stuff going on the Raptors. Trust me, it's not good for your team. Fun guy saying, arguing on the Predator part, that's very damaging, bro. We don't know the story. Sure, there's patterns, but usually good looking guys tend to keep attracting. Come on, man. Not saying you're wrong. We just don't know. Well, we do though, because there's evidence and they've already talked about this. Once again, I look at this from a different kind of perspective than you guys. In some ways, as once again, I understand you guys are coming from a player mindset with this. Don't hate the player, hate the game. That's not what this is, though. You guys got to understand. Once again, it's a publicly traded company, the Boston Celtics. There are shareholders. There's a team. There's a person in charge of the team called the coach. And the coach has a lot of people depending on him. Well, he's having illicit affairs with VPs, wives, and support staff and other people around. That's not good. That's toxic. And that can hurt the bottom line financials of that company. And that's why he's in big trouble. And that's why he had to go away. You think what he did is harmless? That they wouldn't have kept him with the Celtics? They love him as a coach. He had success. He took them to the finals in his rookie year as a coach. You think that if Brad Stevens could have gotten away with pushing this underneath and getting through this all without having any problems, he would have? Of course he would have. No, this is a serious issue, and y'all got to stop poo-pooing it. Because the Celtics, they did not want to cut their arm off to fucking deal with this. They had to. So that shows how serious this is. You think the Celtics would have covered this up if they could have and kept their rookie coach who went to the finals? You're damn right they would have. So that is your signal right there that this is serious and egregious. And yeah, I do think he's a predator because in some ways he's seeking out new lovers and wherever he goes. He's shown that pattern. And in some ways, you may not like the word predator, but that is what it is in some ways. And a lot of men are predators out there as far as they just look for women they want to fuck. They don't give a shit about their lives or their feelings or anything like that. They just want conquests. And in some ways, what he is that kind of guy. He just wants conquests. He doesn't want relationships with these women. He just wants the sex. And that is a sexual predator. I know you don't like that word or that term, but that's what it is. And if you don't like that term, I'm sorry, but that's the correct term for this situation. You may think I'm sullying his name or that's irresponsible to put that label on him. Well, he earned it. He definitely earned it because as I said, I've done research on this shit. He did this shit in San Antonio. He's done this in every stop he's done. This is done his whole life. I don't give a shit if he's attractive and that's the reason why he does it. That's not a good issue for a reason for doing it. He could have had all these sexual conquests, but if they didn't work with him, they would have been fine. It's because they work with him. Once again, y'all got to understand. It's really important that is what it is. Isaac is saying Raptors need to run it back. That Martyr brand is playing in Toronto. Oh, that band during the NBA championships going to be a riot. Oh yeah, Proto Martyr. Yeah, I've heard their stuff. They're awesome. And Monique saying enjoy doing the chapters, Tom, especially on a stream like today. Udoka, it seems laugh out loud. I hate this shit. I fucking blame you, Doug Smith, you old ass motherfucker. Go get yourself to pasture. Making me have to talk about sexual stuff like this all damn day just to put out your damn fire that you put up there. All right, let's do a wrap up real quick. Lots of injuries for the Raptors, but most of them are secondary, which is good. The main players will be out there. Delano, questionable. Joe Weezy, questionable. Will Barton, questionable. Gary Trent, questionable. Otto Porter, out. No injuries for Philadelphia at all. They should all be there and fine. Our referees for tonight are David Guthrie, Curtis Blair, and Ashley Moyer-Gleich. Not a bad crew. I'm very happy with it, actually. Hopefully, they won't make me eat my words and be pissed off at David Guthrie by the end of the night. I'm sure they'll be fine. So, all right, y'all. Thanks for watching today. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Let's really try and keep the ball out of either Harden or Embiid's hands. That those two guys are hubs for this team. And in some ways, we can not deny them getting the ball in the first place. That can be very effective in slowing down the Sixers. Of course, we got to keep track of Tyrese Maxey and his up and down the court and his speed and his pace. We got to slow him down and keep track of him and not let him get going in transition downhill and get easy baskets by surprising us. Jeffrey Dowtin Jr. could very much be the antidote for that. So I like that. All right, Infamous, once again, he's only guilty of bad judgment. It became serious because the woman's husband came out and said something. There's a racial label that is attached to black men in these situations. All right, I will treat this touchy, like with all due respect in some ways, because I know in some ways you're right, and that there is a history of certain things with this, but that's not necessarily what's happening here. Totally. Once again, there's not just one conquest. He has more than one conquest within the Celtics organization, and he has past conquests from before. Now I get it. Maybe he was cheating with this woman behind the husband's back, and he found out, and he had an axe to grind. He got pissed off, and he put it on blast. Well, that's what I'm saying. He shouldn't even been in that situation in the first place. If he gives a shit about his position and being where he is and where what he's doing with the Celtics, he didn't cover his ass. Let's just put it that way. And that's not good. Listen, if you have a dream and you want to be the coach of the Celtics and win an NBA championship and stuff like that, why would you put yourself in jeopardy? Because you can't control yourself. Impulse control is very much this. It doesn't make any sense to him. Like, I could really fuck up my career over doing this, but I just have to do it. Oh, that's what I'm talking about. It's impulse control. He has none of it. And that's part of the problem right here. I can understand where you're talking about. Like, in some ways, the headhunting is Boston, a white woman, a black man. Sure, we could get real about that aspect about it. But once again, I'll say this. I don't think every single conquest that he's had in the last few years has just been a white woman. I think that he's not been like, he's picking whoever and stuff like that. Once again, there's a lot of information about Udoka and his sexual exploits that are out there. And a lot of it is saying that this has been him his whole time in his career, that this is part of his personality. Maybe it wasn't a big problem or an issue, but it became an issue with Boston. And it definitely became a big one. So, I mean, I want to be fair. And your aspect of what you're saying could actually be a part of it. We know Boston's racist. We know that fucking city's racist. And maybe the guy who got cheated on is really upset about it in a lot of ways. How did you do this to me, honey? With MA of all people. Oh my gosh. I don't know all about that. All I know is it's always wrong to have a professional relationship turn into a personal relationship. And once again, if you are a person in power and the people are underneath you, it's always wrong. I cannot spell this out enough for you guys. That if you work at a Subway, you work at whatever, and you're in a corporate position, you're a position of power, and you're getting sexual favors from your secretary or people underneath you, it's always been wrong. Even if these old guys back in the day had secretaries and they all had relationships with behind their wives, that was never right. That kind of culture was never, ever right. Even if it was mainstream and it was looked upon as commonplace, it was never, ever right. I'm just saying it. It never, ever was. The boss sleeping with their secretary was never, ever right. It's never right in any situation. I'm sorry. He writes the checks and pays her. Yeah, that's anti-women. That's a non-consensual situation, and it's not right. And I'll say it over and over again. Writing Udoka is getting old. Yep. I'm sick of it too. All right, bro. We agree to disagree. This topic is not a kind one. Listen, I'm very progressive on this. Listen, I wish it was like that for guys. You can just go out and get whoever you want and no consequences. But there are consequences. And you can't think with your dick all the time. You need to think things through and be smarter. And he wasn't. And he gets what he gets for that. That's what I'm saying. I don't think Rick Carlisle's out there sleeping with people in his organization. Do we think Nick Nurse has a little side thing on behind his wife on our team? No, this is not common. This is not right. And I don't care what kind of player he thinks he is in his life. You fucked up when you made it a part of your professional life, M.A. Udoka, and you get what you get because of that. I'm sorry. That's just how it goes. How many other coaches are doing this? How many do you think in the league are doing this kind of stuff? No, because they're professionals and they have more sense and they're smarter than him. He's an idiot for allowing himself to get in this position. He fucked up and now he's paying for it. And that's just how it is. Nobody can trust him. I very much doubt he will be back in the league. I really do. I don't think anybody will bring him in. It'll be a big toxic dumpster fire. Seriously. Seriously. As much as he's attractive to winning and possibilities with that, he's too much of a distraction and a problem otherwise. Trust me. He really is. All right. I want to read the rest of these comments and get the hell out of here. Didn't Mike saying didn't help Boston was so like confusing about what happened in a sense. Okay, I don't totally understand that topic. W for team wins on Friday. You go, Isaac Campbell. Tom Duke saying sick. Yes, Sirski. I got a good feeling about tonight. And then Fun Guy saying, you're right, though, 99%. The 1% is actually how precise the team term predator can be used. And usually they're in jail as being the word. That's where it gets tricky. All right. I mean, if we look at the definition of predator, it's like they seek out conquests. And that's kind of where it's going with that. That's what I'm saying. There's a pattern with him. That's what I'm saying. Infamous saying it's very common. It just doesn't get out. Perkins and other players spoke about it. You think it's very common? I don't think it is. I really don't think it is. I mean, you look at Nick Nurse. He's a very much a family man. He's got his wife. He's got his little boys. I don't see it in his personality. These guys don't need that kind of stuff. You know, players, they're different. Different players, sure. But coaches aren't like that normally. That's what I'm saying. Another part of it is maybe because Udoka was a former player. That's part of the reason why it's like this with him. I'm just saying, man, it's not common like you think it is. It isn't. You think that all these older coaches are going out there and having side pieces? Well, if they are, they're not involved with the team. Trust me. And that may be the biggest difference. Maybe Steve Kerr has a mistress. Steve Kerr has a mistress, but maybe she has nothing to do with the Golden State Warriors and that it's healthy in that way. Can you understand? Like, it's kind of like you don't shit where you eat. Does that make sense? Have you ever heard of that statement? You don't shit where you eat? Well, that's it right there. All right, y'all, let's go.